welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on April 26th, 2016. I'm your host, gaming psychologist, and with me as always, the worst pitcher.
Caffeine Rage, and I'm guessing that's going to refer to the outtake.
Yeah, it also was an actual talk about a game, so it might be like a short transitionary point on a Franken episode. I don't know.
Which will make no sense when it's the Franken episode is several months from now.
Yep, but that's okay. Today's topics will, of course, be the games we've played this week, movies now on Steam, the PlayStation 4 Neo. Whoa.
We didn't rehearse that.
We are such bad people. Microsoft ceases production on the Xbox 360 after 10 years, our weekly community corner, and the Steam weekly deals discussion. Rage, other than being an awful person for us both doing that at the same time, how are you?
Doing all right. It's a little bit rainy here, so if you hear any background thunder, apologize.
Yeah, or if the episode gets weird because, I don't know, the power goes out or something. So basically we just have to go with what we've got for the week.
Well, that is, of course, assuming that I don't lose my recording in that case.
Ooh, that would suck, yeah. Are you on a battery backup?
Actually, no, I'm not.
Okay, so basically it would be, well, I hope that the it was saved in cache or something and could be recovered.
Yeah, maybe we should be recording the actual call as well as a backup now that I think about it. You know, take a page out of the spacebar's recording setup.
Well, it's too late now.
Well, we're only 2 minutes into the podcast.
Yeah, too late now. If it all goes wrong, we've got the Franken episode. That's what it's designed for, so.
I wasn't aware that there was any design to that thing. It looks more like an abomination, to be honest.
Oh, I've actually put some work into it that makes it awful, but funny.
Oh boy!
When it comes out, you'll just have to listen to it. I've had some fun with it. It's kind of like a little pet project I work on. It's like, I've got 15 minutes. Yeah, I'll pull up that and.
I'm scared.
Let's see if I can find a little sound bite or like a funny little something or other.
I'm really scared now.
I mean, it's going to be a Franken episode.
I'm going to have to do something special for that video file then. Of course, that also requires me to put effort into the VOD.
That's true. You would have to put some work into your VODs because your VODs are lazy. Because
I do all the work on the show notes.
That's true. You do the work on the show notes. I edit the show. I have an actual video footage for my VOD. You have a static image.
We balance out.
It all works out somewhere there in the end.
Plus, my video also has the full show notes as well.
I copy and paste the show notes.
No, I mean a custom version of the show notes.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't do that. I just copy and paste the show notes.
Yeah, mine actually has the links.
Yeah, mine doesn't have the links. I mean, it has them as text. You know, you can go and copy and paste the text, but what can I say? I'm lazy.
We both have degrees of our laziness in certain areas.
That's very true. Very true.
Oh, there's some thunder. Not sure if that's going to be picked up.
I don't hear anything, I don't think. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, I do hear that. Spooky.
Oh.
So let's talk about...
Talking about the frickin' episode and just having so much thunder in the background.
Like thunder and lightning. I might insert some copyrighted material there. How many seconds can you get away with on YouTube before they flag you?
Honestly, none, because YouTube is a bunch of idiots when it comes to copyright.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
If you're going to put copyrighted material, you have to do heavy editing to it to make it not trigger copy protection these days. And even then, they go after you when it's clearly fair use. I mean, well, see the Trump effect.
Yes. Yes, indeed. But let's not talk about him. He makes me sad and mad and other negative emotions.
Well, you're not wanting to talk about our future president?
Oh.
I know, just the buttons to press.
Oh. I hope not. I'm not voting for him. That's for sure.
Yeah, let's just put it this way. This election has taught me why people stand in line to write Mickey Mouse on the ballot.
I would totally do that. Well, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It's probably okay. Welcome to the political portion of the podcast. It's probably going to be Trump and Clinton.
Yeah.
Probably. And when that happens,
especially after tonight's results.
Yeah. And when that happens, I honestly don't know who I'll vote for. I'm definitely not going to vote for Trump, but I'm not a huge fan of Clinton. So I don't know if I'd vote for her. I'd have to think long and hard about that. I might cast a vote for a third party, which with the political system in the United States is practically a wasted vote. But
yeah, you may as well write in Mickey Mouse at that point.
But I mean, I don't know. There's
to bring it around to video games once again. Clinton has came out several times against violence in video games.
Yeah, she has.
And that's one of my less problems of hers.
I'm not sure if Trump understands what a video game is, though.
He knows what a board game is because he made one.
He did make one a long time ago.
We so 80s. Need to play that on one of the streams.
We will. We will. We'll make fun of all of the stupid things Trump has said. Like, did you see 7-Eleven instead of 9/11?
Oh, yeah. Where were you when the slushies fell?
Oh.
So, is this going to stay in the podcast, or is this going to the Frankenstein?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what our length is like. Our community corner currently
I'll have you know, Trump is huge.
Everyone should go look at TrumpBangsThings.com. It's funny. It's not safe for work, but it is funny.
It's not safe for sight.
Probably not. No, some of it's not safe for life. But I had
okay. After you're done with that site, I suggest the subreddit iBleach. It's just a subreddit full of nice, cute kittens and animals, and to soften the blow.
Oh, I posted a link to TrumpBangsThings.com to the subreddit r/the Donald. I got perma-banned. No. I got perma-banned from that subreddit. It was great. I was so happy.
You know what's really hilarious about that subreddit is that it actually started out as a joke.
I know.
And it came around full circle to being an actual supportive subreddit of his.
Oh man.
Politics has politics always been this crazy, or is it just this year?
I think that this time is worse than previous times. In all seriousness, the United States is in a bit of a political crisis. What's left of the greatest generation and the baby boomers generation are scared of what has happened in the world. And
so they're going to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it.
So this is a combination of like my personal beliefs plus some studies that I've read, which they do agree with my personal beliefs. So, there's always a chance for bias. Take what I say with a grain of salt, that sort of thing. Politics are...
But to be fair, that's what people should be doing for us in general.
That's true. But, so what's left of the greatest generation and the baby boomer generation are scared of what is happening in the world. Social progression is something that is very counterintuitive to traditional values that they would have been raised with and used to. They have been through a lot of scary things, and the world is a scarier place for them than it's ever been because information is so much more easily accessed than it used to be. Plus, I mean, we're in a bit of a bad way right now. The United States is technically the last remaining superpower post-Cold War, and our economy has stagnated, and we've gotten behind the times, so to speak, in comparison to European countries and politics, and they're all scared. Plus, there's also a lot of the millennials are fed up with what they see, I think rightfully so, as a corrupt and corporation-driven government that doesn't represent the best interests of the people or even attempt to represent the best interests of the people. And so that's why the more extremist side of politics, at least in the United States, I think Donald Trump is pretty extreme anywhere, but Bernie Sanders is pretty moderate by some European standards. But
Yeah, I
in
was
the
going to
United
say the United States is very shifted compared to a lot of other countries' political systems.
Right. But so, the extremes of U.S. politics are suddenly looking extremely appealing to people who probably would have never voted for them a decade ago. For the conservative side, for the most part, not everyone, but generally the people who vote for Trump are older, more conservative people that think that he is going to reshape the Republican Party and go along with his slogan of "Make America Great Again," and some idealistic 40s or 50s view of America, while millennials and Gen Xers are lining up behind Bernie Sanders because he represents progress, forward movement, molding the country to be more like European politics, which are some of the most enlightened in the world.
Yeah, but fat a lot of good that's done.
But yeah, and then Hillary Clinton represents the establishment, the career politician who's got Lord knows how many favors she owes to who and how much corporate money she's in. I mean, it's a lot, but how much exactly, like, who knows. So we've got like these three kind of major players on the field, and for Bernie Sanders coming in, not entirely out of nowhere, but from a lot of people out of nowhere, even though he's second, he's still hung on really well in comparison to Hillary Clinton, who everyone thought was just going to wipe the floor with him. And then Trump over here, I don't understand, but he is incredibly popular with, the same people on that are on the conservative side who want to shake things up. Ted Cruz, who kind of, I guess, represents the establishment, is pretty far behind Trump. But the Republican Party has been in a bit of a bad way since the last election. So, I mean, U.S. politics are just a mess right now. The country is at a crossroads, and basically, it's probably going to come down to Trump and Clinton. And even though Clinton represents the status quo, by the time Sanders is done, I think that she will have become a lot more progressive and moderate than she originally was. So we'll either get a more progressive, forward-marching society, or we'll have 4 to 8 awful years of regressive politics and, everyone trying to hold on for dear life to keep the country from careening back into the 60s.
Oh, it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah. Fun is...
I was using fun and invisible, massive sarcasm quotes.
Yeah, I was going to say fun is a word that I would use extremely sarcastically.
No, actually, I'll take that back. I'm using fun in the Dwarf Fortress sense of fun.
I see.
And for those who are unenlightened, go to the Dwarf Fortress wiki and you search fun, and it brings up the page for losing.
Nice. So yeah,
And no, I'm not joking.
So yeah, that has been the U.S. political portion of the podcast. Again, like I said, very much my personal opinion, and while I am a person of higher education, my opinions are my own. Take them with a grain of salt, and have an open mind, and if you want to, for lack of a better term, debate me on any of my points if you disagree.
Fight me in real life, bro.
Come at me, bro. But yeah, if you would like to discuss, debate, or entreat, I believe. Ask me questions. Feel free to do so.
Oh, bringing out the big words now.
Indeed. Indeed. Well, I mean, I did say that I was a person of higher education, so I gotta
So you're
do
saying
something
you have
to prove that.
So you're saying you have the best words.
I've got them big $5 words. $5.
Ugh. So shall we talk about video games now?
Yes, let's move swiftly away from a sad subject into a happy one, or maybe an angry one. Rage, what games have you played this week?
Well, I have 3 to talk about. One, not really all that much, mostly because, well, I've been playing Kerbal Space Program some more, and I've successfully gotten the game to the point where it's starting to crash on me. Mostly because I'm loading up a bunch of mods, and I have some sort of incompatibility somewhere.
Okay.
And I still have to narrow it down. And I think KSP is at the point right now for a heavy modder like me, where I just need to have set it aside and give it a couple weeks to kind of marinate, especially after they announced today that they're doing a bug fix patch. But I think that's
1.1.1.
Yeah, and who knows what that's going to break. So I think KSP for me is going to be just a wait and see. And it's probably my fault that it's crashing on me just because I'm loading up somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 mods as a starter.
As a starter? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's my starting setup is
Holy
70
crap.
mods. Biff thinks Amy is crazy. The Podfather thinks our pod cousin is crazy. Well, I don't know what to call Amy. But I think that's just because he doesn't know just how nuts I am. On 1.0.4, I was running 85 mods. Granted, a lot of them were just little tweaks, but that is still a huge number of mods for the 32-bit version. And I have 16 gigs of RAM, which means after system resources and with a little bit of overhead as well, just to play it safe, I probably have about 10 gigs to toy with. I'm going to go absolutely insane.
Indeed, you are.
And it's going to be glorious.
Man, I've never played with that many mods at once. I think the most mods I've ever had installed at one time was 20. And I thought I was doing good with 20 mods.
I'm telling you, my 1.0.4 setup was about 80 mods, give or take some. And I was getting approximately 2.5 hours of game time before it crashes due to memory leaks. And it also really depends on how many times I went in and out of the VAB, because there was a huge memory leak there that actually I'm not sure if they fixed now that I think about it. That's something to test.
See if they fix the memory leak.
Yeah. Because it was a memory leak of like 100 megs or something. In the grand scheme of things, it's big if you're going in and out of the VAB or changing scenes. That's what was causing it. It wasn't just going in and out of the VAB, it was changing scenes.
Right.
So if you're testing a craft and doing little edits to it, it added up quickly. But if you weren't, it didn't really matter that much. But then again, this was when the cap was at about 3.2 gigs of RAM usage.
Yeah.
So still 100 megs is quite a chunk just being lost for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
So, let's see. We're done with Kerbal Space Programs. Well, I don't think it's on your list, is it?
No, I didn't play any KSP this week. I meant to, but then I got sick and I was down for the weekend, so...
Getting the plague again.
Yeah, my kid is...
Kids are little bags of germs, don't you know that?
They are. They go to daycare or school, depending on how old they are. They come home and they're carrying all the diseases.
They go to daycare, sneeze on one another, exchange their germs, and then bring them back.
Yeah, they lick stuff together, and then they lick each other's faces, and ugh, it's disgusting.
Are we talking about your kid or your dog at this point?
Yes. Sometimes my kid licks my dog. I mean, I love my dog. I will cuddle up with her anytime, but she's gross, and she goes outside and rolls around and stuff. Like I don't want to lick her. Sometimes I don't want to smell her. My kid's like, "Oh, doggy, here, let me just put my mouth over your mouth." It's like, "Oh, kid."
And this is just after she found something nice and rotten to roll around in outside.
Oh, I'm sure dead bugs or poop or something.
Ooh, roadkill.
Oh,
So let's get political again.
oh no. Okay.
I played the game that you wanted me to play to talk about this week. I didn't do a video on it.
Oh. IS Defense.
Yes, IS Defense.
Okay. Tell me about it. All right. Okay. Hang on. First, tell me about the game without anything else. Just gameplay. How is it?
Gameplay, if you played a arcade shooter in the 90s, I'm talking about your typical stand-up game with the fake gun that you shoot at the screen, the light gun. It reminded me a lot of that. It is a turret section, the game, essentially. You're trying to survive as long as you can, defending a position as wave and waves of enemies come in and try to kill you. And that's really the game, is that you're just trying to survive. It's a survival mode.
Okay.
And it has a skill system that as you rack up kills and points, you get unlocks. For example, your gun reloads faster, and then eventually you don't have to reload it at all. Your rocket launcher will reload faster, or it shoots faster, and things like that. Not terrible gameplay wise, but it's something that I've seen before. It's uninspired.
Right. Okay. All right. Is it controversial?
Honestly, well, I'm probably about the worst person to do this because I'm fairly politically incorrect.
Okay.
I mean, I think I should say I have a thick skin for a lot of things like this. And honestly, only thing I found controversial was the fact that the vehicles in the game, the Humvees and the trucks that drive up to you to shoot at you, has an ISIS flag on them. If you remove the ISIS flag and just said, generic terrorist instead of the IS, the Islamic State,
right,
people wouldn't care about this. This game is essentially Shock Jock Radio, the game. They're doing something to try to stir up controversy to get more attention, and what otherwise is a place to get that it's so hard to get attention. The indie scene is just so big on PC. You have to be a standout title. You have to do something amazing, or you have to play the game, the news media game, I should say, and either be friends with certain reporters to get the initial views, or you have to do something controversial. And this is the Shock Jock route. They are doing something controversial because putting terrorists in a game, well, that's hardly new.
right,
Being able to play terrorists, not exactly new. And you're not playing terrorists in this, by the way. That actually would be a lot more controversial if you were shooting like U.S. troops. But that's not even what they're doing. It's literally, they put a sticker on, not even a sticker, they put a label on terrorists in a video game, and people lost their shit about it.
right,
They played the overly politically correct game that all the major game media sites out there are just getting so politically correct that they lose their shit because people if you do something even slightly politically incorrect, they'll just go off on you and talk about how you're a horrible person. And they cranked it up to 11 and said it's an ISIS game. That's literally it.
right,
I found it, if you ignore the flags, and that's literally the only thing out of... The game is short, by the way. It's only 3 levels, and you have to replay a level several times to be able to unlock the next. outside the flags, I saw literally nothing that would say this is ISIS. It's literally, unless you're counting like guys running up with the Hollywood version of a suicide vest. I mean, it's comical almost. It's over the top.
So it's kind of it's well, I mean, like you just said, it's just trying to be as out there controversial as possible, playing on everybody's current fears of ISIS and
It's not even playing on their current fears. They're playing on what games media is just calling outrage for. And to do that, they have to be politically incorrect. This is the same dev, by the way, that created the game called Hatred, which was a meh game, but it was essentially taking the murder spree that I think everyone that played GTA does at some point. Just, gets a big gun and starts just shooting people until the police show up, then shoot the police until they die. That's literally what Hatred is, only it has a gritty, overly, over the top, almost laughably serious, so grim, dark, serious that it goes all the way back around to humorous. And the gameplay is kind of meh, but because they said it's basically you're shooting a lot of civilians and executing them essentially. Well, not essentially, you are executing them with execution moves. The games media drew a bunch of attention to it, and it took what a game that would have been completely forgotten or just ignored completely, and put it in the spotlight to the point that it was actually pulled from Steam, and then Gabe Newell himself reinstated it, and that drew a lot of buzz about the game. The same thing is for IS Defense, or they at least tried it. It didn't get the outrage that Hatred did, or at least that I've seen. Yeah, Hatred was called, so many outrageous things. And it was essentially the poster child for a lot of politicians, bring it all the way back around to politics once again. Saying that this is the type of game that you don't want your children to play. Well, it's rated adults only. Of course you don't want your children to fucking play it.
Yeah. I've seen a little bit of controversy over IS Defense, although a lot of it has been from more SJWs. Like, oh my gosh, they're insinuating that all ISIS people are bad people and that they're coming to kill us.
Wait a
minute. Sweetheart, do you know what ISIS is?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, we're going to get into SJWs for a moment.
Oh, boy.
You literally cannot please them. If you made a game exactly to their specifications, another one will say, well, that's racist, that's homophobic, that's transmisogynistic, or whatever the fuck word they're going to use.
I don't think that's a real word.
They used it for, Pillars of Eternity?
Seriously?
That was.
You keep talking. I'm going to Google this word.
I believe the word that they used was transmisogynistic. It was in reference to the poem that was censored out of Pillars of Eternity. Just look up Pillars of Eternity, and you should be able to find it pretty easily. You literally cannot please these people. You are best to just ignore them because they are not your fucking customers.
What the? I don't understand what this means. Okay.
You thought I was making this up?
No, okay. So transmisogyny is a term that was coined by Julia Serrano. I assume that's how you pronounce her name. In Whipping Girl, a transsexual woman on sexism and the scapegoating of femininity. Here's what I don't understand what this means. It describes the intersectional oppression of cissexism, transphobia, and misogyny. What?
I think I broke the therapist here.
I've got a specialty in sex therapy and gender. I don't know what this means. I think that this person just made this up and thought that it sounded. Okay, it's got a Wikipedia page. Let's go look at the Wikipedia page. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, this word is used to describe the unique discrimination faced by trans women because of the assumption that femaleness and femininity are inferior to and exist primarily for the benefit of maleness and masculinity. So it's a complicated word that means sexism.
Yeah, I guess. Whatever.
Okay.
I have no idea. And since we're on this topic now...
Oh my
I'll
god.
go,
Okay, wait. There's one more. There's a version of this word. Transmisogynoir, which refers to...
does it require a fedora?
No.
A fedora and a trench coat and talking a bit like this.
No, but that would be better, because this just says that it's specifically for black people. Oh.
But let's read the poem that triggered this. And I use triggered unironically in this case.
Right.
The poem that caused this word to exist by Firedorn Lightbringer. Here lies Firedorn, a hero in bed. He once was alive, but now he's dead. Last woman he's bidded, turned out a man, crying in shame, off a cliff he ran. And that triggered this... Yeah,
That's
this
actually
triggered,
a funny poem.
Yeah, and it triggered her so hard that she created a word to describe just how triggered she was. You literally cannot appease these people, and you do not apologize to these people because it makes you appear weak, and then they go after you even more.
You know, some amount of editing is going to have to be done around here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to cut any of this because it's amazing conversation, but it's so far off topic from...
Yeah.
I don't know. I might leave it. If there's been elevator music playing, just know that all of this will be available somewhere because it's too good to just like throw out.
Yeah, me starting to just go off.
Yeah. It's just way out in left field compared to what we normally do. We've spent 30 minutes talking about politics and
and SJWs.
And SJWs.
And the thing is, SJWs and Gamergate is still on our general topics list.
Well, we can't... Yeah. 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 Okay.
That is an episode in of itself.
I'm broken currently just because of the absurdity of this person and creating that word. So
I don't follow this completely, but I do keep my ear to the ground on some of the just some of the stupidity, mostly because it affects my hobby, and it's just there's a lot of stupidity out there on this.
Yeah. I should give you a YouTube channel later that I discovered that is awesome.
Oh God.
It's great. I'm just gonna say it. The YouTube channel is Bearing, Bearing. It's an Australian guy who uses like a kind of a stock photo looking thing of a bear, and he basically tears apart feminists and SJW arguments on YouTube. It's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of those that pop up, just with some sort of stock photo, and they just tear apart all the broken rationales.
He's got a partner that's a woman that does the same thing, and her name is... This is her channel name. Ready? This is amazing. I'm building it up. It's amazing. Her name is Sugar Tits. They're amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's recover this. Video games.
Okay, should we go back to Honest Defense?
Do you have anything else left to say about it?
Not really. It's a pretty uninspired game. It's a little expensive for what it is. I actually didn't end up doing a video on it just because I had some performance issues. I will say that it's not shovelware. I will say that much just because of how much they throw in. There's a lot of effects, and there's actually a lot going on screen. And that's where I was starting to have some performance issues. Is I would start at about 80, 85 to 90 FPS on a level. And as the level progresses, there's just so much going on that my frame rate slowly ticks down further and further and further. And by of the 10-minute mark, I'm getting dips to under 30. So it has some performance issues, but they do throw a lot of action on screen, so it's not boring.
Right. Well, that's good.
But
I'm glad it's not
I am
shovelware.
torn on it. I don't want to call it a great game, but it's not quite what I would call a meh game, like a lot of people have been calling it.
So you're saying it's somewhere in between meh and good?
Yeah, shame we don't have a scoring scale for these things.
We should we should come up with an official like scoring scale that we use to describe how good games are. And we'll make it somewhat humorous. It won't be a number scale, but
yeah, I was going to say it can't be a number scale. It has to be if you really want to shoot Muslims, get this game.
if you really want to shoot Muslims, it's a masterpiece. If you're just looking for a game to play and waste some time, it's aight.
If you want to be triggered, it's perfect.
If you want to be triggered, 11 out of 10.
But then again, if you want to be triggered that badly, pretty much go to Steam Roulette, hit random, and, well, there you go. There's your masterpiece.
All right. What other games have you played this week?
The other one I played that actually was my Sunday sampler this week, because it's become tradition for me to talk about what I played last week for this week.
Of course.
Was an adventure game called Wailing Heights.
Wailing Heights.
And I'll wait for a moment while you look that one up, because I'll be shocked if you know it. And it actually, I don't think it's out yet.
I don't think I've ever heard of it. Wailing Heights.
It's actually, it doesn't come out till tomorrow when we're recording this. So
yeah, I've never seen this before.
It's a horror themed adventure game where you're playing the manager who was essentially the manager for the Beatles, only instead of the Ringo, Paul, the Fab Four, it was Shaggy the werewolf, Z the zombie. I'm blanking on the name of the ghost, and Fangs the vampire.
Nice.
And music-wise, it's actually pretty good. You may want to take a look at the trailer sometimes, because they do have a little bit of the music in it. Writing-wise, it's not bad. There's some weird things about it. It's set, I think, in like the 70s, just because of how they have the opening cutscene where it's the hippie van that the manager's driving to go to a gig. The last of the Deadbeats, which is the name of their pseudo Beatles, died, so they're reunited once again. That's actually what the opening cutscene is talking about. And you're called to this job because you're free for your contract now that the last deadbeat is, well, dead. And you end up in this place called Wailing Heights. And the thing about this is that you're able to possess certain characters based off this magical MacGuffin that you're given in literally the first 5 minutes of the game. The comedy on it's pretty good. The other parts of the writing, the plot, trying to get to where you can possess different characters, it feels kind of heavy-handed, I should say. I think that's where I'm going with it, is that in order to control the next character, you have to write a song about them. And to do that, you need to know their true name, a thing that they like, and a thing that they hate. And it's just so heavy-handed when a character just out of the blue starts talking about how much they love a certain type of coffee, for example.
Man, I really love Folgers 8 o'clock coffee. That's some good coffee right there. It really gets me going every day. I don't know why I just dropped into like a weird southern voice to say that, but
You reckon?
I reckon. Howdy, y'all.
But I do love the art style in this game. It has a very comic book looks to it. And as you're moving around the game, it has that pseudo 3D effect with the 2D cutouts. Now, the problem I have with it is gameplay wise.
Okay.
You look at this game, you look at the screenshots of it, and you think point and click, right?
Yes.
You would be wrong.
Okay.
You are moving around the character with the WADS keys, W, A, D, and S. And it is very fiddly on just how you have to position a character to interact with something.
Okay.
The dev of this is a mobile dev, so that's probably part of the reason why it's so fiddly. It's just that they don't have the nuance to do PC stuff. Also, there is absolutely no audio control on this. You have to either do your headset or go into Windows Mixer. And if you want to adjust how loud the music is compared to the voices, good luck.
Well, that sucks, especially in a game that's musically themed.
Yeah, it's a very big negative note is that there's absolutely no audio control whatsoever. And that the gameplay is so fiddly at times. So you have to almost pixel hunt with your character that you're moving around. And
right.
I showed this at one point in my video where I was able to stand in front of someone, wasn't able to interact with them, moved around them. There was this one little spot that I could interact with them. And if I moved too far down, I was too far away from them, and I was able to interact with them. And if that was a key point that I had to talk to this particular person, and I walked up to him and it didn't pop up the interaction thing, which, by the way, even though my control pad was not plugged in at the time, all the fucking controls were Xbox 360 controls.
All right, that's the best. Trying to guess which keyboard key is matched up with the Xbox button.
Yeah, like the first 5 minutes, you hear me just mashing the keys trying to figure out the interact key. I mean, sure, I could have hit escape and just looked at the keyboard controls, but I didn't think of that until afterwards.
I was going to say, where's the fun in that? But, well, I guess, you figured it out.
Yeah, I eventually figured it out, but there was also points that would pop up, press this particular key if you want to see the comic for this character. To see their intro. Well, since I don't know that key, I start pressing buttons. Oh, I didn't press the right button. I guess you don't want to see that comic, and the chance goes away.
That is annoying.
Yeah, also, if you're playing with the 360 pad, which maybe it works better for, then it's this is a moot point. But right. It's a rough gameplay wise adventure game, and I only got about an hour into it, so I didn't obviously do more than just scratch the surface on this type of game, because this usually is a several hour game at least. But it had good humor. It's the writer did Badge of Carnage, Hector Badge of Carnage, which is one of Telltale's lesser known titles, but it's actually pretty funny if you haven't checked it out. But that game also had some severe technical issues, so maybe that writer's just bad luck.
Maybe so.
But if you're a fan of horror themed games, or just want something that's different in the adventure genre, I would say check it out. Especially if you like, what would you call the Beatles musical wise? Because they had quite the range, didn't they?
Well, I mean, the Beatles were rock at the time.
Yeah, well,
they're not quite so much rock anymore, but at the time, that's what they were. They were groundbreaking rock artists. Well,
here's the thing. Here's the thing is that the different characters have different themes. Like, the first character that you meet that you could take over actually has a Scottish lawyer rap.
A Scottish lawyer rap?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds fascinating.
Yeah, and pretty much anytime you meet a character that has their own little theme song that they perform or talk about, you're going to take them over eventually. because I encountered that twice in less than an hour, and it looked like the UI is very, very smartphone-ish. Big buttons, and so the way to switch between the characters, there was room for 4 characters, so I'd imagine that there's 4 total. And I have absolutely no idea on the length of this game, so I would guess that I'm less than a quarter of the way through in just a little over an hour, and that's me, I'm not getting too lost in the game, knowing pretty much what to do.
But flailing around with all the buttons.
Yeah, except for flailing around with the buttons, which didn't take me that long. It was more just me pounding on the keyboard until it did something, and then narrowing it down. But I think it would be worth checking out. I think it's only supposed to be $10, if memory serves me correctly. It's not an expensive game.
Wailing Heights. All it says is available April 27th. It doesn't say how much it costs.
Well, the Steam forums says that they will have a launch price of $9.99 with a $10 launch week discount.
It looks interesting.
Yeah, if you don't mind it being a little fiddly or playing with a controller, it's probably a pretty good one to check out for an adventure game.
Well, I added it to my wish list, so it can be.
So you'll never play it.
It can be one of those games. But I like the looks of it. All right, were those your games? I got really distracted, with all of the off-topicness we did.
And all the politics?
Yeah, and all the politics.
Yeah, that was my games.
Okay. All right, my turn.
So how far are we going to get off topic here?
I don't know. We'll see. So, first game of the week, Clash Royale. Not really much to say. I finally won a single game in Arena 6. I was very happy with that. Got my chest, opened it, nothing new. So I was sad. But I decided I was just going to make a few new decks, trying out some different strategies to see how they would go in Arena 6.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost so much ground. I got busted all the way down to the bottom of Arena 5, and I'm teetering on the edge. If I lose probably 1 or 2 games in a row, 2 games in a row, maybe 3, I'll get dropped down to Arena 4. I'm on the edge. But it's just basically I banded what was working in Arena 5 in order to look for something that would also work in Arena 6, and so I'm trying out just new deck compositions. It sucks to have lost a whole bunch, but I've created kind of what I think is a pretty good all-round deck that can handle multiple different deck types fairly well. The only thing it really suffers against is a push deck. Someone just bombarding one lane with decently powerful troops.
Zerg Rush, essentially.
Yeah, it struggles to handle that, but it can take out builder decks, which are people who plop down the mana generators and all of the buildings that spawn units and lots of defensive structures. It can take those out really quickly with a fairly leveled up fireball. I went for the fireball instead of the rocket because the fireball has got a bigger area of effect range, so it can be used for more than just blowing up buildings. And then it works well against decks that really focus on lots of heavy hitters, like the big, slow, tough guys like the P.E.K.K.A. and the giant skeleton and the giant, decks that are focused around keeping those guys alive. I've got a lot of kind of mid-level troops, so I can swarm those guys, but they can survive long enough against the really small, swarmy enemies that they often use to try and defend the big guys. So it does well against those two, and then decks that, I don't know, are kind of abilities or magic-based, using lots of AoE stuff, spells, that sort of thing. It does well against that just because I've got so much variety in the deck. But yeah, I really struggle with people who are just Zerg rushing. I don't have a lot of good crowd control. because kind of when you play the middle of the field, you have to make sacrifices. But I'm starting to win games with it again. So I think I might have found a winner. We'll see once I get up to the top levels of Arena 5 if I'll have to start this process over again. Thankfully, the game is still good and I'm still enjoying myself, but the frustration level has risen this last week. Because it's just like, well, I could spend a bunch of money and just go, but I'm not going to do that. Next game, Skyforce Unite, of course, the playing game I talked about last week. I am rich. I'm rolling in it.
So you're like your dog?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just gross and nasty, and children want to come lick me.
Oh my.
But
I could go a completely different place with that, but nah.
okay. I had a couple of really good runs on the daily challenge, because there's a daily challenge that pops up and it gives you a bonus whenever you complete it and do stuff within it, like defeating certain enemy types or unlocking certain types of loot chests or whatever within the level. And I just got a really lucky run where I got a whole bunch of really, really valuable items that are intended to be sold as opposed to used. And then the next day, like I had to stop playing. And then the next day when I logged in, there was the daily bonus was there was a bonus buyout from the people. So everything that you sold sells for double cash on bonus buyout days.
Yeah.
So I made like $1 million off of 2 really good runs. I was so happy. I bought so much stuff with that and expanded my base a whole bunch, and now have multiple research facilities and all kinds of stuff. So I'm making progress again. Not too much to report otherwise. I'm still kind of at this point where it's like, well, I still have to put a bunch of effort into researching better fighter planes, but I'm finding other things to do in the game, different challenges you can do. I'm starting to attempt the PvP aspect of the game, fighting other players, which the PvP system doesn't make any sense because one game I'll fight somebody who is like super crappy, really low level, kill them like immediately, and then the next game I play, I'll fight someone who has like Star Trek stuff, like lasers and crazy like fireball missile things, and it's like, well, I don't know what you've got or how you got it, but I don't stand a chance. So I have no idea how their matchmaking system works, but it can be fun. So done a lot of that this weekend, or this past week. I spent a few hours on Starpoint Gemini Warlords again. They had a big update, which was mostly fixes, bug fixes, optimization stuff. So the game is running better now, crashing less, and less weird performance bugs. They only added a couple of things into the game. They added some more new ship models and some new mission stuff. Like all of the missions now have better descriptions and are less buggy. So, but I played it quite a bit. Got a bit better at the weird kind of fleet combat aspects. Made some money. Still, I'm not at a high enough level to upgrade my ship, which is sad because I get like they say that there's 30 or 40 ships in the game now, but I've explored around and have been to a bunch of planets and star bases, and so far none of them sell ships. Only my home base and my home planet sell ships. So, and I don't have the money to upgrade to them yet, so I'm just chilling out, doing the missions that I can, but I'm getting to a high enough level that it's really difficult in a gunship class vessel to complete anything that's not like deliver the cargo or repair the satellite in orbit.
Fetch me a cargo container full of bear asses.
There are a couple of quests like that, or missions. It's like, yes, could you go halfway across the galaxy and get a container of, like, something, like, really mundane, like ore or...
bear asses?
Like, parts, or bear asses. And it's like, well, there's an asteroid field like literally over there. I can see it. Why can't I just go get the ore from over there? No,
Oh,
no.
that's not the right type of ore.
You have to go pick it up from this place over here.
I
It's
have a
like
coupon.
it's like iron ore, you know, super common, could get it anywhere. It's like, well, this is stupid. But
No, no, you don't understand. They have a coupon.
they have a coupon. But it could get to them faster if they wouldn't use the coupon and just let me go mine it. But whatevs, yo. It's fun. Eventually I'll explore around enough and find some ships I can upgrade to. And then I can do more things like mine more or take on harder missions.
You mine more? No.
But what I said last week still stands. It's, you know, if you want to play Starpoint and Gemini, go play Starpoint and Gemini 2. Warlords still isn't there yet. Then some newcomers to the list. Lifeline 2 and Lifeline Silent Night. I played these while I was sick. The original Lifeline came out 2, maybe 3 years ago. And I've played it sometime in the past. But what the game is it's kind of it's an interactive storytelling game that's sort of like a choose your own adventure or choose another person's adventure. I'm going to talk like ultra minimum story because, I mean, the whole game is just a storytelling experience. So I don't want to spoil it. There might be minor spoilers ahead. So if the concept of interacting with someone else in a game world and helping them decide what to do is interesting to you, just go pick up the game and try it out.
And skip ahead about 5 minutes.
Yeah. They're 99 cents on mobile. The original Lifeline has been free a couple of times as like a promotion. So, and you'll get about 3 days out of it. If you play it constantly, it'll take you about 3 days to complete Lifeline. But so anyways, minor spoilers ahead.
So do you poll the audience or?
No, these games play in real.
That joke went over your head, didn't it? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? That show's probably too old for you now that I think about it.
Well, I've seen Who Wants to Be
You're
a
just a
Millionaire.
kid.
I get the joke, but I thought that maybe you misunderstood what I meant when I was saying, like.
I was trying to be a smart ass.
I got you. Well, it made me look like a dumbass. Anyways.
Now fetch me some bare asses.
All right. I'll haul ass to get the bare ass to bring it to your smart ass.
Dumbass.
But anyway, so how the game works is that this character, the character's name is Taylor, and the game deliberately doesn't tell you whether or not Taylor is male or female, which is interesting because it changes the way you view certain situations without actually having to do any changing the storytelling. If you think Taylor is a female versus a male, but anyways, Taylor somehow comes into contact with you. And is basically relying on you to help them out to navigate the story. And there are many, many branching paths. The first one had many decisions that actually affected the outcome of the game. Stuff that you were like, I don't know, that seemed mundane could actually be pretty important later on because it would give you a clue about what was going on or make sure that you were better equipped to handle a situation that came up. Like, really interesting stuff. And there were multiple different endings. There were several good endings, with one of them being like the best, and then there were many, many bad endings. And in true choose your own adventure style, most of them are like, "Oh, you screwed up and died. Try again." The games play out in real time, so you're having this back and forth conversation with Taylor, and if Taylor's like, I need to sleep, I'll contact you in the morning. Well, then 6 or 7 hours will pass before you can continue playing the game because it's like Taylor is sleeping. So it takes about 3 days to play the original game, which I understand that can be frustrating, but it adds a certain air to the game that makes it seem more real.
The anticipation.
Yeah, it's really good immersive storytelling, and you can actually turn that off once you complete the game. You can just turn it to quick mode, and then all of that goes away, so you can just continue to explore story branches. In the original, it's a good story. Lifeline Silent Night is a continuation of the original. It's a much shorter story. It takes about a day to play out the whole thing.
Well, it's kind of hard to extend Christmas to more than 12 days. Well, grand retailers definitely have.
Touche, touche. But it's a much shorter story. There's less choices, less stuff going on. Not as good. Silent Night assumes like the best ending canon from the first game. That's what you are doing going forward, and you can play it as a new player. It basically asks you at the beginning, like the person's like, "Oh hey, how's it going?" And you can either be like, "Oh hey Taylor, what's up?" or be like, "Who are you and why are you contacting me on this frequency?" And it's if you pick that one, it's like, "Oh, the other person I was talking to must have left or something," and then like they basically explain what happened in the first game in a couple of minutes. So you can play it without having to play the first one, but the first one is a better game. Lifeline 2 is the same type of game, but it's a completely new character and a new story. Lifeline 1 is very sci-fi. Lifeline 2 is very fantasy. Um, and it does.
So instead of frequency, it's how did you contact me on this unicorn?
No, it's magic. The main protagonist, which is female in Lifeline 2, it's her name is Erica. She has a spell. She's trying to contact someone, and instead of the person she tries to contact, she gets you.
Boy, is she screwed.
It's a fun story too. It's a fantasy story. Completely different vibe to the original game. It has a lot more choices than the original game. For some reason, this girl relies on you a lot, which doesn't jive with her character, but it could be something that I haven't learned yet because I've been playing it for a day and a half, and it's still going. So, but it's fun. They're fun games. They're great interactive storytelling experiences. They're well written. They're super cheap. All 3 games are 99 cents a piece. So for $3, you can get roughly a week's worth of mobile game out of. And it's just refreshing to play a mobile game that doesn't want to take your money every 3 seconds or put you on timers for everything. I suppose technically the real-time storytelling aspect is a timer, but like I said, the way it's handled with storytelling...
But there's no way to pay to get past it. You're already paying.
Right, you're right. You've already paid for the game. And the way it's handled as part of the storytelling mechanic adds a certain air of realism to the game. Like, it allows you to suspend your disbelief a little bit more. Because it's like, okay, this person actually needs to sleep. Or they need a few minutes to handle, to recover from a tough situation.
They're done with the toilet. They need to put away the phone now.
There are some very intimate situations that they talk to you through.
So I wasn't too far off.
No. Yeah, because they keep talking to you, and it's like, oh yeah, I forget you can't see what I'm doing. Here, let me describe this to you. And it's a good way to kind of shoehorn in some narrative storytelling mechanics from books and stuff. But yeah, they talk to you through some pretty intimate times that I wouldn't want to talk to anybody during. And that's not sex. It's gross stuff. Not all of it's bathroom stuff, but some of it's bathroom stuff. But overall, fun games. And that brings me, of course, to the weekly EVE Online report.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be a big one.
Not really, to be honest.
Well, there was a lot of news I heard about the war kind of just going nuts.
Yes, that news can basically be summed up with goons are being raped in every orifice by all of their enemies, and all of the leadership is starting to turn on one another, and people are accusing other people of many bad things. It's just loads of drama on top of internet spaceships exploding.
And the price of popcorn has gone through the roof.
It has. Basically what I said last week with they're losing systems by the dozens at this point is still continuing. They're continuing to lose ground, continuing to just get beat at every turn by everybody. And now leadership is falling apart, and they're all blaming one another for why the war is going badly and why it started in the first place, and et cetera, et cetera. So the ship is sinking.
Yeah, wasn't the reason the war started in the first place was Hitler insulted someone,
Yeah, yeah. Matani insulted the leader of the Iron Bank.
and the Iron Bank had plenty of money to retaliate.
Oh yeah, yeah. Basically, the ship is sinking and the crew is eating and killing one another.
And it is glorious.
It's pretty glorious to watch. But I mean, really, like, it's what I said last time. They're getting fucked up, and now their leadership is fighting each other, which is interesting stuff. But it's like I've already talked about it. Personally, we have applied to join the alliance. We were not accepted when I checked yesterday yet. We applied on Sunday. We weren't accepted when I checked yesterday. Probably were accepted by today, but I haven't had a chance to log on. So we got accepted.
Really?
Yeah, occasionally days go by where I don't log on EVE Online.
My God, you have been sick.
But yeah, we're joining this alliance. We've been doing mining industry. I shocked everyone. Well, not everyone. A lot of the new people in the alliance. We were hanging around chatting while I was doing a trade run the other night. And I was like, okay, I just dropped off 1.8 billion ISK worth of goods to market. Now to wait for the cash to roll in. And they were like, how much did you say you just dropped off? And I was like, 1.8 billion. And they were like, wow. I can't even fathom that much money. And that's all stuff that we had made in a week, which is good. Production is up. Citadel's release is tomorrow, which we're excited for. We did not meet our target goal, sadly. But the alliance that we're joining does have the money to buy a Citadel blueprint. So they're going to buy one blueprint, and then they're going to make copies of the blueprint to give to the member corporations of their alliance. So even though we didn't meet our goal, it doesn't matter. We joined an alliance. They're giving us the blueprint to build a Citadel, and we have the resources ready. Like, I've looked up the charts. I got everything ready except for some new stuff that's releasing with the new update. We'll have that in the first day. And then hopefully by next week, I'll be saying, yep, we built our Citadel. Very exciting stuff.
Sorry, what?
Whatever. So
I was
yeah,
checking the mail again.
do we have our letter?
Yes, we have a letter.
Excellent. So, yeah, those are the games that I played for the week. Summed up fairly quickly because I looked at the time, how long we've been recording for. But, I mean, to be honest, there wasn't too much to say about each of them anyways. I can't talk about Lifeline without spoiling things. Skyforce and Clash are more of the same.
Well, we could get political again.
I'm good for now. What I think we should do is go and talk about movies being released on Steam.
Well, to be fair, there have been movies on Steam before. It's just Lionsgate dropped a ton of them over the weekend.
Yeah, there have been a few movies here and there.
Yeah, I think the biggest one they had before Lionsgate's opened the gates
Hey-o.
was Mad Max Fury Road, and either all or a good chunk of the Mad Max movies was on Steam.
Yeah, I remember when those popped up overnight, like in my Discovery queue. I was like, I mean, that's all right, but I own these movies already, so, just ignore them.
So, Lionsgate. An interesting assortment of movies, and some actually good ones, and some ones that are trash, and some that I would call, chick flicks. Absolutely no interest to me, but still not terrible. Except for Twilight.
I was going to say, are you talking about Twilight?
No, I'm saying except Twilight. Twilight's just terrible, no matter what.
Oh, okay.
No, wait, I take that back. There is the Rift Tracks version of Twilight, which is just hilarious.
Never seen it before. I've actually seen the first 3 Twilight movies.
You poor thing.
I was dating this girl when they came out. It wasn't Katie. She doesn't like Twilight. But I
like Katie more already.
I was dating this girl who liked them, and I was like, well, I mean, I suppose I want to have sex. What I can't remember which one. One of them was was bearable, and the other two that I saw were just awful. I
Oh,
fell.
oh,
I took a nap during one of them.
and then woke up and didn't lose any of the plot because there's just all the pauses.
What plot?
Um, the pale guy with the stupid poofy hair and
Which one?
uh, touche.
Oh, um, but there's an interesting collection. I think I was excited to see Dredd up there, the most
Yeah,
recent Judge Dredd movie. That's actually a really fun action movie. The Hunger Games, uh, Divergent, Saw movies, a whole bunch of different kinds of movies. I the main reason I wanted to talk about or bring this up was it's just interesting to see Steam start to really expand or diversify their product lineup. There's been a movie here or there come out on Steam in the past for sure, but
yeah, and some independent stuff as well.
yeah,
Now, where this kind of falls apart is the fact that you're not buying these movies. These are, what were they, $4 rentals?
yeah,
That's where it kind of falls apart. And here's the thing is that it's a $4 rental. You have 30 days to start watching it, and it's a pay-per-view.
Well, I mean, you say that, but that's pretty much
It's a,
on par with
yeah,
every other digital movie kind of rental service.
yeah,
That's
but it's still expensive, and
I
it's
mean,
not and it's not even it's barely what you'd call a high def movie. It's according to this article 800p. It's not even a full 1080p movie. It is it's just over 720p.
I mean, a lot of so-called high definition movies though are shot closer
Yeah,
to that
true.
resolution. I mean, there are certainly your 4K movies out there that exist, and some true 1080 stuff that exists. But
Yeah, but if they're going to have the higher price, which I didn't go and check the price on Amazon Play and YouTube and that sort of thing to see what the price is per movie. But $4 for a single play of a movie just seems really high, even for Steam. And I think for Steam to uh, get some momentum on this and not just people, maybe rent one to see how it is and make this a actual thing. They need to be competitive, and I'm just not seeing it with this.
and actually, that's really competitive. I mean, HD movies to rent them from Amazon or Google Play or Apple iTunes, they're around $5. Give or take $1 or two here or there based on the age and that sort of thing. But I mean, renting them in HD is about $5 to watch them. And when you
Maybe it's
rent
just
them,
showing that I'm not a movie guy.
yeah, whenever you go to watch them, you get a certain amount of time that it sits in your library before you start watching it, and that varies by service. Steam's 30 days is actually pretty good. A lot of them only give you 7 to 14 days to watch your movie. I think Google Play gives you 30 days, but Amazon only gives you 14 days, and iTunes, I believe, gives you 7 days, unless their policy has changed. I don't rent movies from iTunes very often because, well, they suck. They're one of the worst for that. Normally, though, there's also a standard definition version of the movie, which is only like $1 or $2 to rent.
Yeah, this is only the high def
And they
versions.
only have high def versions, which is kind of frustrating because, like I just said, the HD versions of a lot of movies are not 1080.
True high def.
Yeah, they're not true high def. So it's sad to see you can't get a cheaper standard definition rent. But I mean, they're pretty competitive. It's just I don't know why they would do this. I mean, I'm sure they'll get some people who rent from them because it's like, oh yeah, I'm here on Steam. I want to watch a movie.
Those some kid will sell their hat from TF2 and go watch the Twilight series.
Actually, that's interesting.
Well, okay, not the Twilight series, but it opens up the possibility of selling the digital goods and being able to rent the movies.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think of it from that perspective before. Technically, you can kind of do that on Amazon if you use Mechanical Turk to work and get
Yeah.
some money and do it that way. But otherwise, yeah, this is you could sell your trading cards and instead of buying a game, if there's not a game you want to watch, but there's a movie that you want to watch, well, there you go. You could watch a movie.
Well,
That's
if there's well, you could always rent Gamer and watch that.
Gamer's a fun movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie.
I'm just looking at the lineup, and I think Steam needs to redesign their entire store because right now their discoverability is just shit. And
Yeah.
I'm not talking about just videos. I'm talking about across the board. It is very hard to find things if you don't know precisely what you want. Because I'm just looking through this, and not a great selection of categories here. Because I'm just looking. Well, I'm on the Steam store,
Yeah.
and it is indie action strategy, which don't ask me how that works. RPG, which is completely empty. And I'm in the video section, by the way. I'm not in the store page or the game page. Racing, sports. So they have some oddball niche categories that they are hardly using at all. And I think they need to just essentially burn the entire thing down and rebuild from scratch to make use of videos. Because right now they're trying to just repurpose what they have for the for games to make use for movies, and it's not going to work. It hardly works for games, and even games they have to get the community to tag everything, and then they tag the latest Barbie game, psychological horror.
Well, I mean, it is. To be fair, they were correct with their tag of that one.
I didn't say they were wrong.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, this isn't. I didn't think it was like a bad move or anything. I just was kind of like, eh. But giving people...
I'm not calling it a bad move. I'm calling it a questionable one just because of how Steam is doing their store page just in general. They have an atmospheric video section, by the way, that has absolutely nothing in it. That gives you an idea of what's going on here. They have casual movies.
No need to get good. It's casual.
Yeah, and it has let's see, CS:GO player profiles, gaming in color, Stream Dream, Angry Video Game Nerd the movie because that's casual, and free to play.
Oh.
Maybe I always knew he was a fucking casual.
Maybe they have all these categories set up in advance because they are going to be getting more movies.
Okay, well, can you explain something to me?
I can try.
How do you have an RPG movie?
Well, Hardcore Henry was a first-person shooter movie, so maybe...
I sure hope they employ the editing so we don't have to watch the guy collect 30 bear asses.
Would Lord of the Rings be an RPG movie? I mean, you're watching people basically go on quests and level up.
Oh, I don't remember Frodo picking his stats.
Well, I mean,
or debating over which of these talents suck less. Boy, Blizzard's really fucked up the talent tree now. Both of these choices are terrible.
I don't know. I don't think that a role-playing game exists or role-playing game movie.
Yeah, they just need to go in and redesign the entire store page. They need to redesign their client if they're going to make this actually take hold. I'm not calling this a bad thing. it's interesting that you're able to be able to sell your trading cards, but some of these I would love to have the ability to actually buy these and not just have it where you're renting.
Yeah, that would be nice. I'd like to buy them.
There should be a buy option, but then again, you're trying to strike a deal with the movie industry, who it reminds me of just a kid that doesn't want to go somewhere, so you're dragging them, and they just are flopped on the ground, and you're literally dragging them across the floor.
Yep, they just sit down and they're like, no, 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 no. So you grab them and you drag them across the floor.
Yeah, that's what it's like to deal with the movie industry.
Very familiar with that. That's what
and the music industry is one that takes 5 steps and demands more money.
Every 5 steps they demand next week's allowance. Just carrying on with the kid analogy.
Yeah, pretty much though.
So
and then shuts down anything that has music in it.
Shut it all down. Even after you pay them, they just shut it down.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Whoops, sorry."
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is that Steam needs a complete store redesign if they're going to continue doing, not even just movies, but software also, because they have a software section.
Yeah, they do. I'm not sure how well it does.
Well, I'm trying to find it. There it is. To get to the software section, you have to go to the main page, and then there's this little button that says software.
Very tiny button.
Yeah.
It's not showing off or anything.
Well, let's just put it this way: the advertisement for the new chapter of King's Quest that Telltale's finally decided to release. Was it Telltale that was doing King's Quest, or?
I don't think so.
Or, no, it wasn't. It was it was Sierra with the Odd Gentleman, which but the advertisement for King's Quest is probably about 50 times bigger than the software button.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking Telltale with King's Quest. Maybe it's just the episodic nature, and that's like Telltale's thing.
Yeah, that's definitely what Telltale is known for nowadays. Okie dokie.
Yeah, it's just Steam needs to sit down and redesign and actually, while they're rebuilding things, how about throwing in some fucking customer support?
Whoa, now you want them to do 2 improvements at once? That's pretty intense.
I know I'm talking crazy here.
You are. You're a regular crazy person. I'm trying to turn that into a segue to go to the PS4 Neo, but I'm just drawing a blank. So let's go talk about the PS4 Neo.
Whoa. I think someone at Sony has fallen in love a little too much with the Matrix movies, because we have the PS4 Neo, and then the Sony VR was codenamed Morpheus.
Yes, it was. I still think it's a better name than Sony V or PlayStation VR. So this is still technically rumor at this point of recording. Sony has not come out and confirmed nor denied it, but it's been over a week.
We have Keanu Reeves on standby.
It's been over a week. Giant Bomb released it. We've watched to see if Giant Bomb released it last week. And the reason we didn't talk about it last week is because I wanted to see what it developed into, to see if it would, no, you guys are full of crap, that's not true, or
and to see how many Matrix jokes you could come up with.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. But so now we're here to talk about it. We're here to talk about iterative consoles. And
yeah, we brought this up before with the modular idea for the Xbone. Going to like the Xbone 1.1 or 1.5 or whatever they decide to do. This is such a weird console generation.
Yes, it is bizarre. Let's take at least the initial bit to just talk about the Neo itself. So they've got the specs here of the original PS4 compared to the PS4 Neo. Basically, it's the same, just like amped up a little bit. So Originally,
Yeah, it's basically an overclock, if you want to call it anything.
it looks like everything is overclocked. The CPU is same CPU, but it's running at 2.1 gigahertz instead of 1.6 in the original PS4.
Whoa, it's lighting the world on fire here.
Absolutely. The GPU is up to 911 megahertz.
An oddball number.
Yeah. Up from 800 to 911 megahertz. It's still got the same amount of video RAM. And then the actual RAM in the machine, it's just a faster RAM. So it's got 218 gigabytes per second versus 176 gigabytes per second. It's still GDDR5, still 8 gigs. So basically everything is overclocked as opposed to just being like bigger and better.
Yeah, and just don't set your cat on it because it'll burst into flames.
Probably would. Sony has said that, well, the sources in Sony have said that they do not want to separate their community. So all games will basically have at least 2 modes, which is a standard mode and an enhanced mode for the Neo.
Yeah, and if we pause for a moment and listen very closely, I think we could hear every single game developer going, "Oh no!"
Yes, all at the same time.
Because when this was originally announced, well, not announced, but kind of leaked a few weeks ago, all the developers basically came out and said that this is going to be a giant pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, basically they have to optimize for 2 different hardware setups, which doesn't sound all that crazy in comparison to like PC, where it's basically like, well, we've got a bazillion combinations. But to make games run as good as possible on consoles, developers rely on being able to optimize to the specific hardware setup, which is how these ultra weak boxes can perform as well as they do, which I say that with like massive air quotes because they are not performing this generation. But
what, you don't like 20 FPS at 720p?
No, I do not. But basically it would be even worse if they couldn't optimize. But it takes a lot of work to go through the optimization process and get everything as stripped out as possible. But now they're going to have to do that twice, which adds a decent amount of work and development time to the development of pretty much any game.
This is probably before your time, but I remember a time when Sega went absolutely nuts. The Sega Genesis had the 32X, which, let's see, there was, trying to think of how many games came out on it. It was a very, very, very low number. And the Sega CD, which did better, but it was not nearly as supported as a standalone console was, and they were basically trying to buy time for the Sega Saturn to come out.
Right.
And I can't help but draw a comparison here, thinking that they're trying to buy more time for these weak consoles, because I think they're realizing that they built these machines too weak, and they're trying, well, Sony's trying to overclock. Microsoft is trying to do something. We actually don't know 100% what they're trying to do yet. If it's going to be a completely new hardware setup or if it's just going to be an overclock like this. And I know this is technically not overclocking, most likely, but it's the easiest analogy for a PC user to be able to just grasp. Especially sitting here and looking at this.
Right. It's pretty bare bones, the information that we do have.
Yeah,
that's even listed here. There's not.
This feels so much like a stopgap while they try to very quickly develop the PS5, and that's just what this is screaming out to me. And the fact that in order to game at a decent frame rate, you're going to have, if someone bought the PS4 when it came out, they're going to have to put down again after, how long has the PS4 been out? It hasn't been out long.
2 years, I think.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I believe that the current generation of consoles released in late 2014. Quick Google search.
It hasn't been terribly long, and they're already releasing not even a new version like the old consoles did, like going from the PS2, the original thick PS2 to the thin PS2.
So they released at the end of 2013. So that would have been roughly 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, well, let's call this 3 years, assuming that this releases for Christmas time, which, with all the rumors coming out now, I think that's a decent
E3.
bet.
And it'll be an E3 announced Christmas release.
Yeah, that's my money right now as well. It seems absolutely lunacy that someone that bought that wants to have a good experience is going to have to buy again so quickly when the entire strength of a console is on its set performance and the fact that you buy the machine and you're good for at least, I think 5 years is a good rounding point.
Yeah, 5 years is the rough development cycle for most consoles throughout history. I did a quick bit of research on this before we got started. And I mean, it's not concrete, but most consoles lasted for about 5 years.
Yeah, so, okay, maybe this is a touch early, but it just feels like such a stopgap to try to buy some time because they realize that what they made is too weak.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure developers definitely know. I'm sure that the Sony and Microsoft both know that their consoles are too weak. And they're trying to do something about it, which I don't blame them for trying to do something about it, but it's just going to wind up costing the consumer money in the end because these companies didn't put together strong enough hardware. Going back to the game thing, because we kind of got away from it, I was going to say, having these dual optimizations, they don't even guarantee what the Neo version is going to be. I'm paraphrasing, but basically in the article they say that they received information that the game will either look better or perform better, and then they go in there to say that it will have a more steady frame rate, and it's like, what does that mean? Does that mean steady 30 or steady 60? I'm guessing 30, but
yeah, I have to wonder. Okay, they said that all games will be able to work on both these systems.
Correct.
So why would a developer want to support the old one?
I don't know.
When they can make their games so much prettier and still run at 700p and 30 FPS. Can you imagine what the old machine will run at that point? 15 frames per second?
Yeah, or it'll be 640 by 480. I don't know. They're trying to avoid the problem with the new 3DS, because new 3DS games are supposed to be backwards compatible with the original 3DS, but they're not, because they are designed to work on the new 3DS, which is more powerful. So you put them into the old 3DS, and technically they run, but you get like 12 frames a second, and the game like freezes and screws up all the time.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that they haven't thought this all the way through. They're trying to do the stopgap, and they haven't learned from what happened to Sega because... Okay, history lesson time.
Lesson with rage.
After Sega completely and utterly screwed themselves with the Sega CD and the X32, they released the Sega Saturn to lukewarm results, mostly because a lot of people bought into the add-ons, or the ones that did buy into the add-ons, they completely lost faith on, and they did a short lifespan with the Sega Saturn to release the Dreamcast, which completely screwed over their fans again and caused people to jump ship to other consoles. And that's not the only problem with that happened to the Dreamcast. It also was, I would say easy to pirate games on, but if there was copy protection on it, it was so simple to bypass that literally writing a ROM disk, a CD-ROM,
Yeah.
was all you needed to bypass the copy protection. You didn't even need to hack the hardware like you did with other consoles. So
Nice.
they had really no game sales because that's where the money on consoles actually comes from. It's not from selling the boxes.
Yeah, a lot of times they're subsidized in order to make them
Either they're subsidized
affordable.
or they'll sell for a loss
Yeah.
to just get more units out there to get the money.
Right.
And well, after the Dreamcast, well, oh wait, there's been no other Sega consoles, has there?
I see what you did there. So, okay, we're not gonna like jump ship on the topics, but I want to talk about something. Our next topic was Microsoft ceases Xbox 360 production after it had been produced for 10 years.
Yeah, out with the old. But you're changing the cycle on me, are you?
Well, yeah, well, okay. So here's the thing. PS4 and Xbox 360 had a 10-year life cycle on their console.
Yeah, which
on
is
their console
which
run,
is a very very odd lifespan.
which is extremely long. The thing
Yeah.
is, though, is that that's long enough that an entire generation of gamers could have played exclusively and extensively on those systems and will have no idea how to deal with more rapidly changing console iterations. And even people who have been playing games for years before, like me and you, are going to look at this and be like, well, you guys just had these systems that actually performed fairly well for a decade. Now you've got this garbage and you want to start giving us iterative designs? And it's another situation where they've shot themselves in each foot, I think. Because they actually did a very good thing building a piece of hardware that lasted for a decade and still managed to perform fairly well up until the last. But now they've
some
put
of
out...
the games at the end of the last generation. Yes, it is officially last gen now because well, he stopped producing the Xbox 360, so it's the PS4 and the Xbox are now officially current gen.
They've been current gen for ever since they came out.
But people don't talk about it that way until the old consoles have stopped production. Actually, it's the PS3 stopped production yet.
I don't know. I think so, but I could be wrong.
But anyway,
doing a quick Google search, you talk.
To fill time. We're just at the point now where they've screwed themselves on just how long their console cycles have been. Where, we've kind of really said all we need to say about this, haven't we?
I think so. I mean, consoles need to be more powerful. They do. They were anemic at launch, and that's been roughly 3 years ago at this point. They have not performed well at all at any point in time during this release cycle. They need to be more powerful, but a stopgap is not the answer. What we need is...
They need to rush development on the PS5 and the... what would the next Microsoft console be? Because Microsoft, their counting is worse than Valve's. Okay, well, they've gone from 0 to 360 to 1. And then on Windows, they went 7, 8, 10. I think the next Xbox is going to be 9 just to fuck with people.
I don't know what they're going to call the next Xbox. Xbox Next. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they called it that.
Xbox, we've completely fucked ourselves now.
I have to be careful, otherwise my Xbox will start doing things over there. Because I've got the Kinect plugged in, so it listens to me. Sometimes.
Xbox, suicide pill.
Well, I can't hear you. I'm wearing headphones. But, yeah, I mean, they need to just... What they should do is come out, press release, joint, however they want to do it, and be like, look...
Wait, do you think these two are going to actually work together?
No.
Really? I mean... The day that Sony and Microsoft works jointly together... I don't even know what to say to that because they've been actively trying to screw one another over for the last 3 console generations.
Yeah, especially with their naming conventions. But what they need to do is just come out and be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
look,
Considering, okay. Well, I'm sorry, but I kind of have to say this one is I think Sony is trying to take a little bit of a jab at Microsoft with this code name, as well as being a fan of the Matrix. I'm guessing because okay, the Xbox One, and now they're doing Neo, the One.
yeah, I thought about that briefly, and then I was like, nah, I don't. That's not a very good joke. It's too obvious.
No, I'm not calling it a joke. I'm calling it them making fun of Microsoft's
Well, I mean, yeah,
name.
but they're making a joke though. Like they're making fun of Microsoft. They're being humorous. Anyways, third time's the charm. I'll get it out this time. I promise.
Oh
I
my!
I think they have two things that they could do. First, they could come out, and I think this is the best thing. Come out and be like, "Look, we screwed up. We, they can say it however they want. We didn't make the consoles powerful enough. We didn't realize what directions the market were about to take, and our consoles can't keep up. We're introducing these new consoles. They're going to be more expensive, but they are way more powerful, and they will last for 5 to 10 years, like the last generation of consoles did."
I'm not
That's
sure if they should say a number, just because if the moment you say a number like that, you're held to it.
They came out and said it about the previous console. Microsoft did. They said they wanted the Xbox 360 to be a decade-long console,
And it was.
and it was. It made it. So
Granted, I think it was kind of limping at the end on some of the bigger games like GTA.
kind of, but I mean, it still finished. It still made it. And I mean, Xbox One and PS4 are probably not going to make it 5 years. So it's just like, that's the first thing they could do. Just be like, look, we screwed up. This time around, we're going to do better and get it right. Or they can say, look, our console is not powerful enough to create these like massive real world gaming experiences that we want. We're going to shift our games to be more artistic in nature. And then that's the way they can get with saying they can be less pretty. And then they can back off on some of that.
That's an interesting idea. Actually, I was starting to think about that as soon as you said that. Was that can they tell the developers to back off on the design or on all the lens flare and lighting effects?
I mean, if they backed off on some of the photorealism, you can get a lot of performance out of a weak machine. I mean,
look at Nintendo.
yeah, yeah. By backing off on the graphics, focusing on, more cartoonish art styles,
going for different styles instead of having in the basketball games having the ass sweat rendered.
yeah.
What is it with me and asses today?
Like some ass. But
Quick, bring Tracer back.
But anyways, so they have these games that look gorgeous, play well, run way better than their counterpart, or than games on their counterparts, despite the fact that the Wii U is still less powerful than the Xbox One and the PS4. So, I mean, I think that those are the two courses of actions that these companies need to take. I doubt they will, because that will be admitting that they're wrong, and corporations don't do that. So yeah, that's I don't really have anything else to say about it. I think that this is going to be, well, final thoughts. In summary, I think that this is probably going to be more of a bad thing than a good thing. It won't be so bad to have more powerful console hardware that can actually do something and not like explode every 3 seconds.
Yeah, but we'll cook the cat in about 3 seconds.
It'll make you dinner in about 2 minutes. You just can't play any games on it.
You just slap a steak on it while it's updating, and by the time it's done, the steak's done as well.
Steak sounds delicious right now. I don't have any, but it sounds good. But so yeah, final thoughts. This could be a good thing. The chances of that happening are slim to none. It's probably going to be disastrous. That will cost consumer goodwill. That will wind up still splitting the industry, splitting the fan base of Sony, and eventually other game companies that follow, like with Xbox One and whatever kind of modular whatever they come up with.
Yeah, I have about the same feeling, and I think the chances of it being a good thing are very, very slim. Just because I lived through Sony completely and utterly screwing themselves by trying, or not Sony, by Sega, completely screwing themselves by trying to remain competitive with Nintendo. Which it's kind of weird to think of Nintendo as an industry leader in power.
Yeah. They are, though.
But, well, they were.
I think they still are.
Well, I'm talking about the power of their machine.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, back in the day, before I think around the Nintendo 64 is when they started to really lag behind because they decided to stay with the cartridge while Sony, the newcomer, decided to go with CDs. And, well, Sega was too busy completely and utterly screwing themselves to really make a difference at that point.
Sega was a really forward-thinking company. They had a lot of great ideas that actually have become standard today, but...
they had great ideas. As a matter of fact, if I recall correctly, their console was the first one to have online play.
That is correct. But, who had internet that could play, video games back in the mid-90s?
Yeah, it was a very select few. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about how this is just going to go down just because it's going to cause a chasm if they don't handle it well. And I don't have a lot of faith in Microsoft or Sony to handle this well.
Yeah, I don't either.
And, well, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, but I'm hoping I am.
Yeah, I hope we're wrong. I hope that this goes really well, that it's really widely accepted and people love it, and it moves a bunch of the new PS4 units. But I don't think we're wrong. Yeah, but the thing
is that if they were trying to cut their losses and say, okay, we're going to not support the launch version of the PS4 anymore, and those who bought the PS4 in, let's say, the last 2 years, get a substantial discount on the Neo or whatever they eventually call this.
Right.
I think they're going to get absolutely roasted, but I think that would be a better move just because it would cause it where the game developers won't have to try to still support the original hardware. And depending on how strict they are about this backwards compatibility, which it's kind of odd for Sony and Microsoft to, well, at least Sony, I should say, to want to do backwards compatibility on this hardware, considering just how often they've not done backwards compatibility lately.
Yeah.
Unless you get a digital version, of course, which is its own thing, which don't get me started there.
Right. I won't get you started.
Yeah, considering we're risking going long already.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, those are our thoughts on the situation and kind of our thoughts on Microsoft ceasing Xbox 360 production as well. So
yeah, we kind of threw the Xbox in there as well, didn't we? Do you really have anything to say about that outside of it really was a important console for gaming? I don't think I'm overstating it there.
No, the 360 is going to be looked back on as one of the great consoles from history. I realize that might sound a little bit weird right now, and older gamers out there might disagree with me, but I mean, the 360 did a lot of things that consoles have yet to do. I mean,
here's something: is that it actually provided a standard for gamepads for PC.
Yeah. The Xbox
until that point, there was not really a standard for gaming gamepads or gamepads for PC.
Really, it's the standard gamepad. For PC gamepads, third-party gamepads are now all based around the 360 controller. Nintendo copied the 360 controller for their Pro controller. It's just amazing that they did that. They set the standard for it.
Even Valve with the Steam controller is essentially a 360 design with a few tweaks. with the trackpads and the extra triggers, but still the 4 buttons and the 2 instead of thumbsticks, it's the trackpads.
Right.
With swapping the position of the trackpads with the buttons, or with the right stick with the buttons.
Right.
It's a very classic design that I think is going to be sticking around for quite a while until something else supersedes it, really.
Right.
But right now, I'm holding my 360 controller right now. I've never had an Xbox 360, but I have the controller.
Yeah, I used to use a 360 pad, but I shifted over to the Xbox One pad.
The only reason why I would change to the Xbox One pad is because the D-pad on the 360 controller sucks.
Yeah, the D-pad on the Xbox One controller is much better. Otherwise, I mean, they're basically identical.
Yeah, but the reason for that actually is because of Nintendo.
There's my clicky sounds. My Day 1 edition controller with the little thing on it. It says Day 1 2013. It's mostly decorative. See, I've actually got another pad in the drawer next to my desk that I play with.
Yeah, which I'm not sure if you know this, but the reason why the D-pad on the 360 controller sucks, and actually D-pads on a lot of controllers suck, is because until recently, Nintendo owned the patent for a D-pad.
I did know that, yeah.
Or I should say the best way to do a D-pad.
Xbox the Xbox also set the standard for online
cooking itself to
consoles. Even though they have turned into awful pantomimes of what they used to be and could have been, I mean, Xbox set the standard for what the online console storefront and integration looks like.
Thanks for that.
Apps came to the 360 first. The whole storefront came from them. The whole subscription model came from them. And I do recognize that some of these things have got negative connotations to them. But, I mean, it set the trend that all future things are following. And that's significant, even if it turned into something that was less than ideal.
Yeah, I still think that having the subscription model on the Xbox and the PlayStation is just a joke, especially considering just how many ads they throw out. And it's hilarious seeing console gamers get pissed when they decide to not charge the PC gaming version of Xbox Live, the Windows Store, and all the online functionality there. They decide not to do the subscription model there because they got boned so hard when they originally tried to do that with Xbox Live. And I just find it amusing.
So, yeah, I mean, I suppose that's all I have to say about the 360. It has a place close to my heart.
And occasionally you get heartburn from it.
Occasionally, yeah.
Yes, I'm still throwing out the overheating jokes.
I had a lot of Xbox 360s because a bunch of them died because of that, but Microsoft always replaced them.
Yeah, I never owned the 360. Partly because I wasn't too interested in it, and plus because I didn't think I would get one that wouldn't cook itself to death.
Yeah, there were not very many of those originally. I bought the 360 on day one.
And plus, and also the idea of paying for online multiplayer, it just seems so ridiculous.
Was I in middle school or when the 360 came out?
Oh, God, you're making me feel old again.
Xbox 360 release date. I think it came out in 04. 05. So in 2005, I was in the 8th grade?
Get off my lawn.
I graduated high school in 09. So I was in November. I would have been a freshman in high school. Yep.
Damn kids.
Oh, man. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. How about that retro original Xbox, huh?
Technically the Xbox 360 could be considered retro gaming just because of how old it is,
It
or
could
at
be,
least some
yeah.
of the original games.
Yeah, it could be. Um, all right, so is it time to move on to Community Corner?
Yeah, I think so. And while we were chattering away, we did get a letter, an audio letter actually.
We did. So let's all listen to that sort of at the same time because we're going to go listen to it right now and it's going to play for you guys. Here is an audio letter from Kyle.
Greetings, J. Arthur and Caffeine Rage. You were mostly right when you were talking about the plain English discussion of the EULA that I sent in last week. Where you were wrong is when you said that anything developed for the Oculus Rift could be owned by the company. And what that boils down to is a difference between what's called a license and a copyright. So buckle up. This is about to get real boring real quick. See, what the Oculus Rift's EULA goes after is a copyright, not a license, because anything developed using the Oculus Rift as a key component of its development can be seized by this EULA. However, software developed specifically for the Oculus Rift by a third-party developer can't be targeted because it wasn't developed using the Oculus Rift. Now, I know that that is a very petty distinction, but here's kind of how it breaks down. When a product gets licensed, say to the Xbox, the PC, to the Oculus Rift, or the PlayStation 4, the parent company, the developer, still owns the product, even though it may have been developed for those particular systems. Now, the particular systems developers do get a cut as part of their licensing fee. Now, that is wholly different from a copyright. Now, a copyright exists to protect a creative work, and this is wholly different from a patent. A patent is designed to protect a scientific or engineering work and make sure that you hold on to your trade secrets, whereas a copyright is designed to protect the profits of the creator of the creative property. Now, that sounds really confusing, but it's about to get even more confusing. See, what makes a copyright more complicated than a patent is that they actually have an expiration date. Now, you can only hold a copyright for a certain number of years, and recently the number of years that you can hold on to something with a copyright has gone up because once a copyright is up, the creative work in question passes into what's called the public domain, and there it is free to be used by everybody. Things like Huckleberry Finn, War of the Worlds, and all of the other books that you can get for fairly inexpensive on Amazon, those generally have passed into the public domain. These increases in the amount of time that a copyright can be held by a copyright holder going up is not a good thing. This means that there are fewer and fewer things entering the public domain, which we need in order for the creative process to not stagnate. And if you think that, well, if companies hold on to their properties for a little longer, that's not a big deal. That's not going to affect me because I could also, in theory, hold on to my property for longer. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm about to prove you wrong. Now, there's an internet video, and I know that this seems like I'm really straying off topic, called Nyan Cat, which is essentially a cat with a Pop Tart for a body flying through space and having Skittle craps. So essentially, it's just a whimsical little video that somebody put out, and more importantly, they copyrighted. Now, there was a game a few years ago, maybe about 10 at this point, I really don't remember. And it was called Scribblenauts, and it was developed by a company called Fifth Cell. And in this game, uncredited, and the creator of Nyan Cat did not get anything for this, was the ability to import Nyan Cat into the game natively, i.e., the developers put it in, but didn't feel that they needed to credit Nyan Cat's creator because, after all, it was just an internet video. So, Nyan Cat's creator and the creator of one other cat, Keyboard Cat, took Fifth Cell to court. Now, Fifth Cell is backed by Warner Brothers, who they themselves have been pushing for the extension of copyrights so that they can hold on to their intellectual properties, namely Bugs Bunny. Now, here's where this gets interesting. I have not really been able to find out where this court case has been going, and I'm pretty sure that Warner Brothers is just burying these guys under a mountain of paperwork because, well, if I wanted this case to go away, that's exactly what I would do. So, that having been said, what can be done about this? The rather depressing answer is I don't think a whole lot of anything, because realistically, even if the creators of Nyan Cat and Keyboard Cat were able to win this court case, it wouldn't really change anything. The bigger and richer companies would be pushing to maintain control of their intellectual properties ad infinitum, where the small guys are basically free pickings, and if you don't have the money to stand up in court, you're not really going to be able to defend your copyright. So all of that is a long form way of saying that that is exactly what Oculus Rift is trying to do. They want to be the big cheese on the block, and they want to snipe the copyright out from the creative individual by claiming that because you were using an Oculus Rift to make this product, it therefore belongs partially to them. And if it belongs partially to them, why not have it all belong to them? So that's what they're trying to snipe is the copyrights, not the licenses. So if any of that didn't make any sense, that's mostly because copyright law is super anachronistic and very, very old, and it kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense in the modern world, but at the same time, we can't get rid of it because we need a way to protect our intellectual properties. Anywho, I'm really looking forward to what y'all have to say about this, and yeah, that's it. That's copyright law.
My head hurts.
Yes. Thanks, Kyle, for a fun romp through complicated legal stuff. I am somewhat aware of the extension of copyright.
Yeah, I thought Disney was also a big pusher of that just because they don't want to lose Mickey Mouse because, yeah, Mickey Mouse is kind of Disney, isn't it?
Yeah, that's. I'm going to butcher this. I'm 100% positive I'm going to butcher this, but I feel like I read somewhere once, or I had a teacher tell me once in school or something like that, that copyright used to be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 40 years. And then it got extended to somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 years, and now it's in the neighborhood of 100 years. And Disney is...
It's 95 years.
Okay. So yeah, somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 years. 95 years is that. I was being safe, trying to be a little bit safe with the way that I was saying that. But so, yeah.
Or here's the fun one is, let's see. The duration of copyright on works created on or after January 1st, 1978 is lifetime plus 70 years or 95 years or 120 years, depending on the nature of authorship. Copyright law is very confusing.
Yeah.
No wonder Google keeps fucking it up.
I do understand why we need it.
Yeah.
People who create things need a way to protect their creation from big companies, essentially. And yes, we will. This is ignoring what you said for the moment. That is, big companies basically can, if you don't have the money to fight them, you're kind of screwed. But copyright law originally was a way to protect the creator who made this thing, so that people couldn't steal it. People, would have to credit them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a good thing. We need it because otherwise big companies would just run free. But I was not aware of the example with 9cat being in Scribblenauts, which Scribblenauts is a great game, by the way. Fun. I was not aware of that. And that's interesting to me that Warner Brothers is basically just burying them with legal paperwork to keep them from getting their due credit.
And the monies, of course.
Yeah, and the money, of course, which, I mean, I don't know how much money it is, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to the amount of money that Warner Brothers makes and has.
Well, at least until they lose Bugs Bunny.
At some point, I wonder if it's costing them more money to just keep the lawyers tooling away at it than it would be just to do the payout and get it over with. Although that would set legal precedent.
Yeah. It would set precedent, and it would also be possibly the right thing to do. And a lot of these big companies are a bit more morally ambiguous. And let's put it this way. Warner Brothers hasn't exactly been the nicest.
No, especially in the world of video games.
Yeah.
Batman, we're looking at you. Arkham Knight.
Every single frame, because that's about what you could expect.
Arkham Knight, you shitlord. Anyways, I mean, I don't...
No, that's later.
Well, I'm really, I always feel really good when you're like, yeah, I love to hear what you guys have to say about that. But honestly, I mean, there's no way that I
it's hashtag agreeathon again. There's really no way to support Oculus.
Well, also,
Well, there is one. We do need a sponsor.
Oh, today's podcast is brought to you by begging and pleading for an Oculus sponsor.
The Facebook bunnies.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing is that I don't really know how to expound on what you said very much. Like, your knowledge of this area greatly outweighs my knowledge, and anything that I say is probably just going to muddle it up. I mean, you are the expert in this situation compared to Rage and I. So, I mean,
My head still hurts.
well, like I said, I have kind of a very basic understanding of how all of that works and how the companies are trying to turn copyright to work more in their favor as opposed to what it was originally intended to do. And I do get what you're saying about how that we need more things in the common domain, so that the creativity doesn't stagnate. Because I mean, I don't know actually if this plays a part into why there are so many re-releases and remakes and stuff. I don't know if this is part of it. Like, companies or individuals are like, well, I mean, everything's been done, so maybe I can just go back and redo this thing better, because there are no or very few things that enter public domain.
It is part of the reason why we got a Tony Hawk's 5. Or did you ever hear about that one?
No, they were about to lose, what was it, the rights to it, or
yeah.
Although I think that's copyright.
This isn't exactly the same thing. So, Kyle, hold on to the letter. Hang on. But it's the same idea, is that they're wanting to get as much money out of these as possible. So they're releasing things on literally the last day.
I think that's licensing. Like,
yeah, it is licensing, but it's the same basic idea as trying to just generate as much money as they can out of these things before they lose them. And that's why they're extending copyright.
Right.
Is that they don't want to lose the Mickey Mouse money, because Mickey Mouse money is a lot of money.
Yep, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. My kid loves to watch that show.
Yeah, can you imagine the day Mickey Mouse goes into the public domain?
That would be amazing. I would love to see awesome, like, I don't know, interpretations and retellings of Mickey Mouse. But yeah, I mean, well done, Kyle. This is why we, shall we say, approved your special request. You are a top grade contributor to the show.
My head still hurts.
Well, what else is new, Rage? That was just really mean.
Oh, it's okay. Well, I did see your picture.
Oh, not your greatest comeback, but touche.
Crazy prospector.
Indeed, with my large beard, but just slightly less large. I trimmed it, but my hair is still incredibly long and thick and shaggy.
Oh my.
Anyways, do we have any tweets this week?
Yes, we do.
All right.
Supe is out there.
Supe! Sorry, I was coughing.
He said that golf isn't his thing, but he knows that we like it. And have we seen Golf with Friends?
I think
it's not on your wish list, so he assumed that we hadn't. And I think I saw it beforehand. It's a mini golf game, though.
Yeah, it's miniature golf.
And honestly, miniature golf is very, very tricky to do well on PC. Well, actually, really anything, because it requires a lot of trick shots, and it's kind of hard to get the feel for it.
Yeah, I've seen Golf with Friends, but it's not... I'm not a huge fan of mini golf games. I like mini golf in real life, but it's just not something that translates for me into, video games very well. So that's why it's not on my wish list. I'd be willing to give it a shot, though. It's not very expensive.
Yeah, let's see. Ghost Shark is up now. He says, okay, X-Wing tourney is done. Some Wednesdays are freed up now. Bring on the tabletop simulator.
Excellent. And we're never going to play it again. That's
Yeah,
not
he
true.
missed out.
That was a lie. We're definitely gonna play it again.
We're gonna have to try to figure out how to play X-Wing on tabletop, aren't we?
It's insane. There's like 1,400 pieces that load up when you load the game.
And also, he said Moscow mules are great. If you want to soften it, you could swap ginger ale for the beer.
Okay.
Remember talking about Moscow mules in the last one?
Yeah, I remember. I have not had one yet, but I will have one just to try it.
Yeah, it's interesting looking. I did check out at the grocery store, and they don't have ginger beer. They don't even sell vodka, so I'd have to order that online, which gets expensive because, shipping alcohol.
Just go to your nearest liquor store?
Nearest liquor store is quite the journey, actually.
Journey. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I'm not going to
You're going to start...
I'm not going to.
You're resisting, at least.
I'm not going to ruin...
That's a first.
I'm not going to ruin the songs of one of the greatest bands of all time.
Well, that's a first.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not Biff.
I have some respect.
Not much, but some.
Yeah, just enough.
Okay, and then Kyle comes back once again. Oculus Rift proving the saying true. If you want to do something evil, hide it in something boring. Hashtag agreeathon.
I like that hashtag agreeathon.
Yeah, which I did comment on that saying, well, there is one way. Yeah, we do need a sponsor. And he came back to say a little bit more saying, I would say no from a consumer friendliness point of view. My audio letter was super surface level. Obviously, this one's gone a lot deeper, though. There are some possibly worse implications, which he just went into.
Right.
And then Andrew Mason piped up, who is a Kerbalcast listener.
Andy M.
Yep. He tweeted this to me directly, and I had to go in and grab it. Have you talked about No Man's Sky? He's still in the process of catching up, and it's taking some time. Well, these are episodic, so he doesn't have to catch up. Granted, there's no way of him hearing this for quite some time.
That's true. No, we have not talked about No Man's Sky. I want to.
Yeah, we could talk a little bit about it. I'm
The thing is, though,
very, very cautious about it just because there's no information really about the core gameplay loop.
actually, I found
They finally talked about the gameplay of it because literally everything I've heard about it up until this point has been talking about the procedural generation of all the planets and how a lot of it is going to be very lonesome multiplayer where you have to really, really search to find a place that someone else has been, which, kind of, to me, almost defeats the point of multiplayer.
Yeah, I stumbled into this huge post on Reddit that someone had put in r/best of. That was, like a huge essay detailing all the stuff about the game that they had pieced together from various interviews, articles, demos, etc. Of all of the stuff that was showing off what the game actually was. And it still seems a lot more interesting. I'm still kind of leery because so much of the game revolves around this exploration element. And I'm not sure how interested I am in that, to be honest. But
what if they had the mining pick?
Well, there is mining in the game. I'm interested in that. I read through that section a couple of times. But
while touching yourself?
Maybe. Very, very gently. But I want to play it. I want to get hands-on with it, either during a beta, a demo, something, before I actually really talk about it. Or unless there's more information that's just given by the developers to us at E3. Because while this post was incredibly interesting and in-depth, he's basically just going on what they've said in interviews and what they've published in articles. And, devs change stuff all the time. All the time.
Yeah,
stuff gets cut from games. Stuff gets put in that was never mentioned before. So I still am not willing to basically just wildly speculate. We're just guessing at this point.
Yeah, this game, along with, I'll go ahead and throw in Star Citizen as well, is setting off my bullshit alarm a lot just because of all the hype that was around Spore before it came out.
Star Citizen, the magical unicorn game.
Yeah.
It still doesn't work, by the way. I tried to.
Yeah, and
I tried to install it last week. It still doesn't run on my machine.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw No Man's Sky in as far as Star Citizen because that is the magical unicorn game that's going to somehow be the gaming Jesus who's going to come back and redeem all of gaming sin somehow.
Right. Sounds legit to me. I mean, you know.
But I will be ready to nail him to a cross.
Oh, that's pretty intense.
And goodbye, listeners.
Goodbye, anyone who's of the Christian faith. Potentially Judaism as well.
True.
Oh, well.
But I just... all the hype and not wanting to talk about the actual gameplay of it makes me very, very leery of it just because I saw what happened with Spore as it was hyped up and hyped up and hyped up. And then while it was in development, they completely changed what they were going to do with it, but never reflected that in all the hype.
Right.
So it's made me very, very cautious about it.
It's Peter Molyneux syndrome.
Well, we did have the tweet last week with literally a Peter Molyneux quote, or Peter Molyneux-esque quote, I should say, in one of the videos. Yeah, see that mountain over there? You can walk over to it.
You can walk over to it. You can just go explore it. Nuh-uh.
You can mine it.
Nuh-uh. Which is sad, because I'd mine that thing empty.
Well, to be fair, you could walk over to it, but it'll be boring as hell. But that does wrap up all the tweets, and I think we've...
Nope. There's one. Wasn't sure if you were going to see it or not. That.
Okay. Well, if they tweet to you, I don't see it.
I'm not sure if it was... Oh, it was tweeted directly at me. Okay. This one came to me from Ghost Shark. Okay, I have a commandment for you. Thou shalt not drink Budweiser or any other weak sauce beer. Okay, I don't have the greatest taste in beer because I'm not a huge beer drinker. I tend to stick to, whenever I drink it, stuff that is kind of, I don't know if soft is the correct word to use with beer, but stuff that's just goes down easy.
Oh my!
I'll drink Rolling Rock, Foster's, whatever's on tap. Basically, like if I go out and I drink a beer somewhere, it's like, what have you got on tap? And typically, like they'll have Budweiser, and that's a safe bet for an easy beer that goes down with just about anything.
Yeah, because it's a near beer.
Normally, I drink wine or cider. I'm a bit more picky when it comes to those two things, but if I drink beer, it's just like, well, what have you got? Yeah, I know that's pretty easy to drink. I'll drink that. And I know the collective, all of everyone that we know who is into alcohol is just like falling out of their chairs right now, sad with me. And
I love beer of the root variety.
Yeah, you don't drink it all, which kind of you sidestep that entire argument. People like.
I did bring up Moscow Mules.
You did. You'll just never know what one tastes like.
Hey, I have the cup.
You have the cup, but
no, actually, Moscow Mules require a copper mug to be able to be drunk properly. So I already have that. It's just having to try to get the damn vodka without spending an arm and a leg.
You can just get cheap vodka. Next time you go, I don't know, on a trip or something, just stop at any liquor store, buy like a $10 bottle of vodka. And there you go. All right, so that is all the tweets. That was the only one that I had. All right.
Yeah, if you get tweeted at directly, just send it to me. I'm talking to Jared, not the listeners on that one.
Send Rage all of your tweets, everyone.
Uh-oh.
This week, bombard him with tweets. I command you. Okie dokie. So, Steam Weekly Deals discussion. How many do you have?
I have 3.
Oh, you have 3. I have 2. So you go first, and I'll just slide in the middle in between yours.
Oh my. Well, we'll start with one game that I played to completion on my channel.
Okay.
Tiny and Big Grandpa's Leftovers. This is a weird, weird game.
It sounds like it. I don't know if I've ever seen it before.
It is a physics 3D platformer. It was actually the second series I did on my channel. It's a very short game as well. I beat it in only a couple of hours. It's you play you play Big, who is trying to retrieve your grandfather's underwear.
Yeah, here's the description for the game. You are Tiny, a nerdy inventor who tries to reclaim his most beloved possession, Grandpa's underpants. What? What?
It's a weird, weird game, but it's interesting.
Okay.
It has this strange physics thing where you're able to slice boulders, for example, to make ramps. You can actually see it on one of the screenshots. Sorry. There's really not a lot to talk about it, though, because it's just such a short game. Which is why I think the main price for it, $9.99, is way overpriced. I actually got it in a bundle. Oh, I nearly forgot. It has a pretty good soundtrack to it. It has a lot of indie artists doing the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And as you play, you find cassettes, which add to the soundtrack, and that you could select each one. So it has sort of an unlock system going on as well. Yeah, I think that's what I would call this, is interesting. I'm not sure if I recommend it completely. But if you want something different, it's definitely something to at least look at, especially at $2.49, which is its sale price.
I think I want to check it out just to see how weird it is.
Well, I would say that it is on my channel, but it's also the second series I did, so it's very, very poor quality. And it's actually the first series I did with this microphone.
Interesting. Cool. Bit of history then. Okay, so my first game is Galaxy on Fire 2 Full HD. Galaxy on Fire is basically Freelancer with a couple of things in the game worse, but prettier graphics. I think that this game started out life as a mobile game. And so you can get Galaxy on Fire 2 on, I know you can get it on iPhone and iPad. I'm not sure if it's on Android devices, but it's on sale all the time. There's actually a free version of the game that has like ad breaks every so often, which is frustrating, but I mean, you can play it for free on the tablet. When it got ported over to PC, it got an HD makeover, and it's definitely the better looking of the games. I mean, hands down. There's some pretty good looking tablet games, but this is not one of them. So the PC version looks much better. And I mean, basically, it's Freelancer. It's got this weird kind of cheesy Freelancer-esque story with not so great voice acting. So just like Freelancer. Lots of real cool ship designs, missions that you can do, stuff to explore, galaxy to go through, galaxy to save, all that jazz.
Well, how can you say it's already on fire? Twice.
Touche. But
So tell me, do you ever find out who started the fire?
We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world was turning.
You're going Shatner-esque with it, turning into spoken word poetry.
Some men, though, just want to watch the world burn. I don't want to start the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart. So there you go. There's multiple Fire song references for you there. I could play this game too, Rage. So meh. Anyways, it's on sale for $9.99, which tough to recommend at that price, honestly. $5 all day. Go get it. Go play it. It will remind you of all the best times of Freelancer, and if you haven't played Freelancer in a while, you won't even notice the parts of it that are actually worse, which is the mining and the trading aspect of the game. The combat, nice and solid. A lot of
How could it be worse than Freelancer's trading system?
It is. It's worse. The combat though is solid. Lots of variety. Lots of weapons and ships and effects and cool stuff. So if you're jonesing for Freelancer, it might be worth it to you at $10. It's been on sale for a lot cheaper than this, so it's a tough recommend at this price. But if you're really jonesing for some Freelancer, this scratches that itch really well. All right, that's me. Your turn.
Okay, so we're staying in space but losing a dimension as we go with SPAS, Space Pirates and Zombies.
I almost recommended Spaz, and I thought you'll recommend it because we've talked about it at length before.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but just to go over it again, it is a top-down. I would call it a twin-stick shooter. Would you? Depending on your ship design.
Yeah. It's I could go for twin stick. Depends on what like you said, what you do, what type of ship you're playing, and what weapons you choose.
It can be a twin stick shooter or a full space sim. But it's in a procedurally generated galaxy, and you're trying to. Well, that would be spoiling it, wouldn't it?
It would be. It's got Total Biscuit in it as the narrator.
Yeah, I will say that his narration wasn't that great. He was very, very flat in his narration. He could have done so much better.
Maybe. I don't know. I still love it.
My criticism of it is that you have to be very careful on how you have the galaxy generate, because as the galaxy is generated, each star system is essentially has a level range on it. And if you build a galaxy that's too large, it's going to really drag down the gameplay, because each step is just, like maybe one level. And you can't just run through every star system. You have to, you can, but it's a bit tough for some systems, especially if you're not well geared. So you may have to spend some time in a system to be able to access the jump gate to go to the next system. But if you make the galaxy too small, the steps between two star systems is so great that it becomes very, very difficult to progress. So it requires a little bit of finesse with how big you want the galaxy. It's essentially your difficulty setting.
Right.
And also, I will say the game gets a bit grindy.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. It's fun, though. It's so much fun.
Yeah, they did have a free patch that added a lot of content late in its life cycle, so it's not nearly as bad if you played it early, but never played it again.
Yeah.
They added bounty hunters to it. That adds a interesting element.
You should definitely play it with the larger fleet mod, which gives you more ships to play with. It makes the early game a bit easier, since obviously you've got more stuff to throw at them. But in the later game, it actually makes it a much more level playing field. Very enjoyable. Plus, it's more ships to outfit and do cool stuff with. Who doesn't want that?
And, well, its price is normally $9.99, but it's 50% off, which brings it down to really the sweet spot for just impulse buy, $4.99.
Yep, and if I didn't have it already, I would impulse buy it. I'd love to impulse buy Space Pirates and Zombies too, but it's not available for purchase yet.
Yeah, so we'll warp it over to you for your last pick.
Yep, my last pick.
See, impulse warp.
Yeah, I got you.
So make it so.
Well, since there's naval terminology in Star Trek, let's go on over to look at Victory at Sea. That was an awful segue. That was bad. My game is Victory at Sea, which is a...
Yeah, we're going to have to keel haul you for that one.
Hi-oh. Which is a naval real-time strategy RPG. RPG. It's got RPG elements in it, at least, in terms of, like, you develop things and But basically, you are the captain of. You can choose from various nations. The United States is the one that's on display, but you can pick the United States, Japan, Germany, the UK, maybe another nation or two. And you're all duking it out. Basically, you're playing the Pacific Theater of Operation as a naval captain, and you're duking it out in the Pacific. And you have goals that you need to achieve. Like your admiral will be like, hey, you need to go take over this island. So you put together a fleet. You go and you attack the island, overwhelm the defenses, land your troops on the island, take it over. And as you progress, you rise in rank, which allows you to unlock more equipment and ships for your use. And you can do a little bit of customization with the ships. You can't like rebuild them from the ground up, but you can make small changes like change the caliber of the artillery or things like that. It's just a really fun, solid naval kind of strategy command game that is hardcore enough to really be taken seriously as almost like a naval tactical simulator, but it's actually got some fairly casual stuff to it so that it's not ridiculously obtuse to play. I like to refer to it to anyone who gets the reference to this game as as Naval Ops Commander without shipbuilding. It's the closest I've ever found to one of my favorite games of all time, Naval Ops. So if you've ever played that game, this is the closest you'll get to it so far. It is currently 75% off at $6.24, so roughly right around that impulse buy range. And there's a ton of replayability, so you would definitely get your money's worth.
All right, so it's my turn once again?
Yep. Wrap up this part of the show with your final game.
Okay, well, speaking of games that we've talked about before with my previous one.
Yep.
And we're going to get our whipping boy back out.
Oh.
No, not that one. The other one. Day 1, Gary's Incident. I'm sorry, but any developer that abuses the DMCA as a content creator on YouTube myself just pisses me off.
Oh my gosh. The Total Biscuit video of that is legendary.
It is broken on multiple fronts. Oddball invisible walls, wonky design, enemies that will appear out of nowhere,
awful AI, poor pathing, just a whole lot of bad stuff.
Yeah. Honestly, I struggle to find anything good about it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
What is something that we could say that's good about it? I know. Not many people have played it because they didn't buy it.
Another good thing about it is that you can quit it.
Yeah, but see, that means that you started it.
It enriches your life. Like you've got it, and it enriches your life by getting rid of itself.
Yeah, but I guess it could count as fertilizer because it is a load of shit.
Yes, a huge steaming pile of it.
Yeah, so if you want to give your Steam account cancer, it's normally way overpriced at the price of $3.99. It's 50% off right now, which means it's only overpriced by $2 at $1.99.
Wow.
If you want to check this game out, I do not suggest buying it. This is one of the instances that I will say pirate it, just because... okay, maybe I'm being a jerk here, but... it's just so bad, but I don't want to say that to reward the developer for their shitty behavior, their shitty design, and just their overall shit.
A lot of
I would say go buy.
in there.
I would say go buy Evolve before this game.
Yeah, Evolve at least runs properly and can be fun sometimes.
Yeah, if you can find someone else to play.
This game is never fun.
Yeah, it's not even in the so bad it's good category, which is very tough for a game to get into, by the way, just because for gameplay to be bad, so bad it's good. It really takes you out of the game when there's bad gameplay.
Right. It has to be kind of deliberate.
Or it has to be humorous. It doing weird things, almost Goat Simulator-esque, only they didn't intend it to be Goat Simulator. And this is definitely not Goat Simulator.
No, it is not. It's not.
I think you would have been upset. I think you would have been upset if I didn't shit on this game once again as soon as you saw it in the weekly sale.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
And like I said, I have a bone to pick with any developer who abuses the DMCA as a copyright creator. Or not a copyright, but as a content creator. Well,
Right.
technically I am a copyright creator because of how copyright works.
That is true. Very true.
Or until Kyle writes in next week and say, no, you're not a copyright. Actually, I think I am right on that one. Well, mostly. Until I'm not.
You are always right in my heart.
Oh.
All right.
But does that actually wrap us up? And looking at the time, there's actually a 2 at the beginning of this.
I know. That wraps us up. Well, we still got to wind out the show, though.
Yeah, so quick padding.
Paddington Bear. That was bad. All right. Rach, what's coming up on your channel this week?
Well, first we didn't do this a couple of weeks, but we need to thank Internet Archive because we keep forgetting it. So I want to throw it out first.
I thought we thanked them last week.
I can't remember if we did or not.
I'm pretty
so I
sure
just
we
wanna
did.
make sure-
That's fine. We can do the...
Well, I want to make sure that we thank the Internet Archive for putting up with us.
Right.
Unknowingly.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Internet
can't
Archive.
remember if we did or didn't, so I wanted to make sure we do it this week.
Sure. So what's coming up on your channel?
Oh, well, Stone Tales is thankfully ending.
Yep.
I've never been so glad to see a series end. Usually there's some sort of like melancholy, it's a little sad to see a series go, that especially one that I've been working on for a long time.
Yeah.
Stone Tales, there was joy.
I can't wait for it to come out. Now I'm going to sit down and watch the whole thing.
Yeah, the first 3 episodes are me trying to tolerate it. It's my first recording session, then my second recording session after the podcast. You just hear me getting more and more pissed off until the final crescendo, which I've already talked about. Oh, it was terrible.
Well, you don't have to worry about it anymore. What's taking its place?
I have an idea for it, but the thing is that I haven't tested it yet, so I don't want to say 100% it'll be this, because I've had a run of games just not want to record correctly or run correctly at all. Looking at you, Ubisoft.
Fuck Ubisoft.
Maybe that should be the 4th commandment.
It could be. We make them.
I'm not wanting to go there just yet for Ubisoft. I'm
Although-
close.
Although you have to say them, so it would be thou shalt fuck Ubisoft.
Yeah, which, see, I don't drink, so I don't think I could get that drunk.
What about Aisha Tyler? I mean, technically, she's the mouthpiece of Ubisoft.
I'll think about it.
All right, fair enough.
Beyond that, Darksiders is starting to wind down. I have more stupidity on my part in that series, though. Mostly just because, well, did I talk about this last week, my equipment issue?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Well, this is like talking about an episode a couple weeks from now. Yeah, let's just put it this way. I forgot about a menu in the game because I hadn't used it in 30 episodes. And it made a very simple area difficult because I forgot about it. Just more stupidity on my part. Mostly because I don't usually play action-adventure style games. Essentially a adult version of Legend of Zelda. I don't play them that often, so I'm not used to the general design tropes.
Right.
And of course, I was going to say, and of course, Terraria is still ongoing.
Yes.
We
Terrarius.
actually recorded some last night.
Yep. It's fun. We did some cool stuff. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, we have some interesting stuff coming up, and I have some more interesting plans, which you've seen some of, but not all of.
Yes, I have.
And that's really what's going on. And also the Sunday Sampler, which I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to be playing this week, unless I get something else that's more interesting. And it's not going to be controversial or musical this time around. Only reason why IS Defense didn't make the Sunday Sampler was that it just ran too poorly. Just so much on screen. Ugh. And it was actually kind of boring after a while. There wasn't a lot to talk about outside of the controversy, and we kind of covered that already. So Sunday Sampler is always on Sundays, and who knows what will show up, because I don't know yet.
Something magical from the choosing, or something that's utter garbage. One of the two. There's really no middle ground with this whole process.
Sometimes both. Because you never know what shows up on the Sunday Sampler.
You never know what you're gonna get.
So, how about you? How are you doing on catching up on things?
Well, I've got Terraria uploaded and scheduled all the way up through episode 13, which is the last one that we had recorded before recording yesterday. Now they're not going to all be coming back to back because
I think you've almost caught up to me. My next one I release is, give me just a moment to double check that.
I want to say episode 11.
Yeah, it's episode 11. I just wanted to make sure on that one.
Yeah, episode 10 is scheduled for tomorrow, and then episode 11 will be on Thursday, and then
which will actually get you caught up to me, because episode 11 releases on Wednesday for me.
Right, which means episode 12 is going to be Saturday. So, yeah, Terraria's been fun. So there's going to be a whole bunch of that. Then once Terraria is all caught up, it works out well, because Thursday episode 10 will come out, then Friday will be the podcast, then Saturday will be episode 11. After that's done, there's a couple of streams to go up, and then some Eve Explained videos, and a couple of other fun videos that I have been working on, like my Therapy 101, which I've talked about making. I did the recording for it. I just have to edit it together and post it and see how it goes. But yeah, still Terraria all over the place. We'll be streaming some Tabletop Simulator this week. Hopefully my sickness is completely gone and doesn't come back after doing this.
The idea is Dead of Winter, most likely.
Yeah, Dead of Winter will be...
Yeah, which... well, I haven't brought this up to you, but maybe either myself or Spaceman should be hosting that, because there's some cleanup that has to be done with that game. That constantly has to be done.
Right.
And it's a lot to keep a track of.
Right.
And it's a lot easier than saying, hey, can you clean this up, when we already know what to handle?
Right. We can do a test run with it on Wednesday. And then maybe Friday get some more people to come play it. Because Wednesday, I assume it would be just me and you and Spaceman. But Friday, when it's more open, we'll try and get some more people to come play. But yeah, we can give it a test run. I'm okay with whatever, really, just so. XSplit.
Yeah, and if that doesn't work out, we can at least play King of Tokyo.
Yeah.
Which you did miss Friday, which we did the run through on it with I did it with Spaceman, and then myself and Jim played King of Tokyo for a bit.
Right.
And I set up some interesting scenarios in King of Tokyo by playing a more risky strategy.
Interesting. Well, I look forward to definitely playing it some more, because, King of Tokyo is amazing.
Yeah, and I showed off the expansion to it that we'll have to try out at some point. Here's the thing, is that when we eventually get sick of King of Tokyo, there's the expansion, which I want to do, instead of loading up the full expansion, basically do sort of a half and half, because the expansion version of the workshop is not exactly the greatest quality, not nearly as good a quality as the King of Tokyo version that we're playing already.
Okay.
So I want to basically import the parts that from King of Tokyo's Power Up expansion from the Power Up expansion in the workshop to the normal version.
Okay.
Which requires some hackery, which I'll have to show you how to do or host that myself.
We can do it.
And then there's also King of New York, which has a completely different rule set. Well, it's not completely different, but it has a lot more going on.
I think King of New York would be really fun as well, just for that fact there's more stuff going on.
Yeah, there's beyond the dice roll. Well, there's the dice rolling still, but you're destroying buildings to get points there, and you're also causing the military to come in because it's America. Of course, the military is going to show up.
Yeah, they are. Can't do anything about the army showing up in America.
Or the FBI. Hello, Obama.
We love you, Obama. You're amazing.
Yeah, I kind of wish he sticks around at this point, considering the politics going on.
Yeah, definitely. But so yeah, that's what's coming up on my YouTube channel this week. You can go find it at Gaming Psychologist. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at JMA4707. You can,
and since I didn't say my Twitter, I'm at Gaming with CR.
You can find me on Twitch. I almost said Twitter again. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/jarthur4707, where we are still going to be streaming mini board games this week and probably the next few weeks. But yeah, that wraps me up for the week.
Yeah, so that brings us to if you want to send us emails or audio letters, you could send them to vglpodcast@gmail.com, and we greatly appreciate them, especially Kyle, who sent his in very last moment.
Right.
I mean,
yes,
we were partway through the show when that showed up, and we thank you for that one.
Yep, because otherwise we didn't have any letters. We had tweets and stuff, so there wouldn't have been crickets just yet. But
well, besides, the crickets live on the Spacebar podcast now. Don't you know that?
That's true. We could get some new crickets.
Unfortunately, it's not Gemini because he's still copyrighted.
Hi-yo.
But if they do want to get the tweets to us, we are also at VGL Podcast on Twitter. And if you wish to get the podcast through the RSS feed, you can find that at videogamelogicpodcast.blogspot.com, or just find us on iTunes under Video Game Logic.
Indeed. The best place to go for all of our stuff.
And it's actually been working correctly for the last couple weeks. I think I finally figured out what I was doing wrong. I was looking at it too much after I finished it. It's like building a house of cards. If you look at it too hard, it falls down, but if you slowly back away and turn away, it'll stay up. I was just waiting for you to say, come on.
I'm sorry. I had like a distracted coughing fit there for a second. Oh, I muted you. I had really nasty 30 seconds worth of coughing that just came up out of nowhere.
It's that black lung.
Oh, it's just that leftover sickness. Talking for 3 hours has aggravated it. What was the last part that you said? I'm sorry, Rage.
I was just waiting for you to say that's what she said, and you'll hear it in editing.
Oh, okay. That's what she said. There you go. I'll fix it.
Thank you.
I'll fix it in post.
No, you won't.
Yeah, nah, I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, carry on.
In our intro and outro music, let's get out of here before more things fall apart. It's On the Ground by Kevin McLeod. You can find his work at incompetech.com.
And as that lovely music starts to roll across my voice,
as you hack up a lung as well.
Well, the hacking will be cut out, even though it's in my recording. That will get cut out. Anyways, bye-bye now.
See you next time.
Bye-bye. Okie dokie. We actually had a really productive pregame, so Is the
So
show
that
date right?
so that's probably gonna. Oh no, I didn't adjust the show day, did I?
I got it.
I knew I was forgetting something. It's one of those little things that I know I'm screwing up something. I have no idea what.
Well, I fixed it. But yeah, we had a productive pre-show. Now it's all gonna fall apart in the normal show.
You're acting like this is unusual.
Nah.
We're gonna ramble for about half an hour about some random topic that has nothing to do with the news story at hand, and then you're just going to edit it out and put it in a Franken show several weeks or months later.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Our Franken show's up to an hour long, roughly.
So how long do you have to go until you hit it with lightning?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I mean, we want some intelligence, but not all of the intelligence.
Wait,
Maybe
there's intelligence here?
Maybe like an hour and a half. Yeah, I mean, I'm here. Oh, sick burn. What?
My question still stands.
Oh, touche. Right back at me. Well done, sir. Well done. Okay.
And I was just sitting here sipping my lemonade, waiting, give you that nice long pause. Enough rope just to hang yourself.
I do that frequently. All right. Game
Well,
face?
we already have plenty of outtake fodder.